What's shaking, everybody? Welcome. It's Texas OU week here on House Divided on Orangebloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is about to say Anwar Richardson. That is Chad Hastings.
You're damn right. Anwar and I get mistaken for each other all the time. Happens a lot. We're both really handsome. We both dress incredibly well. Understandable, Ketch.
Completely common mistake.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to be here with you for the next 3 hours talking a whole lot of Texas OU football and a whole bunch of Taylor Swift on Sunday. No, we're not going to do that. Boy, I'm not even mad at them, but they referenced her like 1,400 times yesterday during the broadcast, hitting that female demographic, and I don't blame them. Maybe we'll do something like that on the show. We'll get the South End Zone Queen and ask her what we can do to also program for all of the ladies out there, those who love football and those that don't. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, do all those things. We're at 17,285. There's no reason in the middle of Texas OU week we shouldn't get to 18,000 subscribers. Help make that happen. We'll take your super chats. Thanks to everybody participating for the next 3 hours-ish in the Specs chat line. Chad, we'll start with the news of the day, but I always feel like a jerk if I just don't say, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing well. State of Texas had a hell of a football weekend. There's just wins all over the place. And a lot of good positive football energy in my world, other than the support I was trying to give my wife's Steelers that didn't work. But man, if you're a Texans fan, you got that one. If you're an Aggie,
you are never being invited as a pseudo Steelers fan to any game ever again. You are the Jessica Simpson jinx.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to let me wear black and yellow again. But if you love any combination of Longhorns, Aggies, Cowboys, Texans, you had a hell of a weekend. The crazy Baylor comeback, Texas Tech got a win while trying to make themselves feel better about Mike Leach. My wife's SFA crew got a win. Texas State Bobcat folks got a win. Like a lot of good positive energy. Other than I guess
you got.
TCU is the only one. West Virginia did come to Fort Worth and mess with TCU. So if you love that version of purple, not so much. But I had a good weekend, even though the Steelers did not play well. We had fun checking that out, and just good football, man. Texas looked like they needed to look. And by the way, I am rocking the Ole Miss shirt today for Ole Miss Girl and the Oxford crew. What a game that was. That one blew my mind. LSU's out of the playoff. Like, there's a lot going on. So I'm doing well. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. As you can see, the Hall of Helmets has installed a couple of corn dog orders. We got a giant turkey leg for Brian Jones later in the week. I love Texas OU, and this is a historic version, Ketch. This version of Texas OU has only happened 7 times in the history of the rivalry. We're going to talk about that this week. It's good stuff.
Before we do anything else, Tom G, you want to put $25 into the super chat?
Woo!
We'll interrupt everything that we're doing to go right to you. Ketch, Are you in a good mood? It's a play on what happened earlier today on the Old Fashioned Show.
Okay.
I kid, LOL, seriously, how many players on OU starting 22 start for Texas? Tom, number one, that is funny. I don't know if you saw it, Chad, but like I showed up 8:45. I'm getting ready to do my hour before my 3 hours. And everybody was like, what color shirt is Ketch going to wear? Which is a weird thing that has developed in the last couple of weeks.
Right, because they know now there's a good luck shirt, and they didn't know if maybe you were still going to be wearing it, coming off of the weekend.
I don't know. But now I kind of oh God, what's the movie that Clint Eastwood does? Heartbreak Ridge?
Heartbreak Ridge, the military one with the camo and the
where they're trying to guess the color shirt that Eastwood's going to wear every day before workout so that they can wear a shirt and having to go shirtless. It's a really dated. It's like a 35-year-old.
That is a dated reference.
It's a dated reference, kids. But
yeah,
check it out. It's an entertaining 80s Eastwood War movie. It's not bad. Gunny Highway. So, and back to Tom's question. Anyway, and then it was like, is Ketch in a good mood? I was like, well, I know occasionally I'm not in a good mood, but am I always in a bad mood so many times that's like how I'm known, as angry, non-happy? I don't know, what color shirt is he wearing? It was just weird. It was just weird.
I think in general, Ketch, you're one of those guys that I enjoy being around because you don't fake it. You're a wear it on the sleeve guy. So you're not like, I've got the years and years and years of like radio training beaten into my head. So if I need to go, hey, everybody, I'm having a great day, I can do that. And it might not actually be true. But you're one of those that you're more of the genuine article guy where if you're pissed off, you're just going to be pissed off. Like you could see it. You can feel it.
Well, what happens is, Chad, like on Mondays at 8:00 in the morning, I haven't had a day off in months.
Right.
On Saturday, I did like 6 hours of broadcasting up till, late hours. I worked all day yesterday. I got to take care of kids. My mom's got issues. Just all of the stuff. And then like, how is anybody doing on Monday morning?
Right. Exactly. That's it.
What are the expectations?
But see, that's the thing that we love about you is you will let all that stuff out. Some people won't. Some people keep it all in and then they'll like blurt something and you're like, man, what is the deal with you? And then they'll tell you what's wrong. You'll, in the process of all of it, you'll tell us what's going on. Man, my dogs are barking. This happened.
Yes.
Because as I've said for years, you are the guy stuff happens to. Everybody, I think, knows someone where you feel like, man, it just stuff seems to happen to him or her or whatever. And you're one of those people. Through the years, you'll call me up and go, Chad, hang on. I got to call you back. A water buffalo just hit me at a Whataburger. Boom. And I'm like, what did he just say? And then you'll have the story later on. It just happens.
Tom, to your question, I don't have an exact answer. And I'm not prepared to go through the entire Oklahoma starting 22.
Yeah, we don't need to start there.
But Tom, I think look, maybe I'll have a specific answer in a little bit. I think to the spirit of your question, I think, isn't this the story of this game that we've had a lot of years where it feels like none of the players on, you can count on one hand the number of players on one team good enough to start for the other.
Right.
It feels like it's more like that than there are years when it's hard to tell.
Like right now, Ketch, if I said it's 5 to 10, is that like way too much for you? Or do you think that's going to end up being about right once you look?
It's probably about right.
Okay.
But I think the thing is, you've got two teams with undefeated records. And as you were hinting, that doesn't happen all the time.
Absolutely.
So in a year where both teams are undefeated, both teams are inside the top 15, one inside the top 5, the competitiveness of the two rosters would, on the surface, be much more even. I mean, Oklahoma is the one that comes into this game ranked number 1 on offense, ranked number 2 in defense, both in terms of yards and in terms of like scoring margin. On paper, it's a pretty good Oklahoma team. And Texas fans all week can be dismissive of what they think Oklahoma is as a team. And look, some of that's fair. They haven't played anybody. But like on paper, they're a pretty good football team. And yet I think what you said, probably closer to 5 than 10. Yeah. And yet that doesn't mean that Oklahoma is not a viable threat in this game. And I think that will be one of the things that we talk about all week long. Thanks for the $25, Tom G. What did I just do? Sometimes you just accidentally the Specs chat thing inside of our studio,
because it goes so quick. That's the thing; it moves.
You're right. It definitely does that.
It does.
Let's talk about the news of the day. Sarkeesian just did his Monday morning press conference right on time as usual.
Oh, nails.
I mean, I've never seen a man show up more precisely for an 11:30 press conference than Sarkeesian does.
Sark's like my mother. If you need him somewhere at time X, you have to tell him that you need him there 30 minutes before time X.
Oh, man, that's my wife.
That's just, you got to know those people.
I loathe being a second late, Chad.
I know, me too. I'm with you. But when you find those people and you love those people, what you do is you say, we need him there at 5, tell him 4:30. Like that's what
Jedi mind trick. Yes.
Every time.
Let's see. Let's just give you the quick hitters of things that stood out from today. Number one, let's just start with the health stuff.
Yeah.
Jatavion Sanders, Ryan Watts, both listed day to day. I'm going to give you, and Sarkeesian said specifically, he thinks he will know later in the week a better answer to what their availability looks like. Duh. I mean, that's how that works.
Hey, Ketch, how's your Monday? Well, right now, it's all right. But later, I could tell you again. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Let me finish the day, and I'll let you know how Monday went. So I think this is what we're going to get. I would be surprised on Thursday, quite frankly, if we get a whole lot more other than it'll be close to a game time decision. Both guys look better today than they did the day before. Like we'll hear some of that. Let me give you my own personal update after we give you the rest of the news. Because once I do my update, the stuff that was talked about with Bert Auburn or anything else becomes, I think, secondary to the health update that I'm going to give. Mm-hmm. Bert Auburn, this was the Xavier Worthy question of the week. You know, it was like, hey, Bert Auburn, he missed a 46 and a 50-yard field goal. Are you going to bench him? And to Sarkeesian's credit, like he acknowledged, I think even before he started taking questions, that Bert Auburn's got to be better. He said that in the vein of snaps got to be better, holds got to be better, field goals have to be better, because 64% is not good enough. And if we're talking about one of the, if we were to include go back to Tom G's question and ask, like, if we include special teams, there's probably another one. Oklahoma comes into this game with an advantage in place kicking. They're making 85% of their kicks. Texas is making 65. To be fair, Texas is winning the punter matchup because Texas is really good in punting and Oklahoma's not. Mm-hmm. Outside of those couple of things, he mentioned that he thinks Dylan Gabriel's good. What's different about this year's OU team versus last year's? Well, they have their starting quarterback. He compliments Brent Venables and saying they're very multiple in what they do on defense, and he's always traditionally a really good defensive coach. It's kind of a boring Texas OU press conference, if we're being completely honest. It's probably the way Sark designed it.
That's where it needs to be. Because also, Ketch, this is the one week you do not want to bring any bulletin board material. Even your compliments have to be well-crafted this week. Don't compliment somebody on something where they'll hear it and go, that's all he thinks of me? I mean, you really have to be careful here. This is the week where, Brian Bosworth made part of his name off of running his mouth. This is a run your mouth week if you really want to. And that stuff goes back and forth across the Red River even faster now, obviously with social media and everything that's there. So I'm with you. Effectively boring. I always use those words to describe Sark at his best. I thought he was effectively boring today. I also did enjoy starve your distractions, feed your focus. That's a fancy way to just say focus, but I'd never heard it said that way. Starve your distractions, feed your focus.
I wish Sarkeesian had been around during the Mac Brown years. Hey, Mac, stop reading Orangebloods. Feed your focus, not your distractions.
Feed your focus. Yes, exactly. So I enjoyed that.
Mac would have replied, huh? What? I'm on Orangebloods. What's going on?
What was it?
Ketch said something.
Yeah. Now, and also I would like to thank the assembled Texas media for not asking the question I would have enjoyed them asking, because it would have gotten Sark a little snarky. Nobody specifically said, is Jonathan Brooks your starting running back? Forcing him to answer awkwardly and mention CJ Baxter. So thank you to everyone. But I will say this, Ketch, a question about Jonathan Brooks came up. Sark answered the entire question, and he never said CJ Baxter's name, just for the record.
Reached a new – well, when you're the third leading rusher in the country, maybe you then – that's the kind of respect you start to get. And at that point, Sarkeesian's got to walk up to Baxter and go, hey, man, he's third in the country. Couldn't say your name today. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, I'll give everybody a comparison if they haven't looked at that list, because thanks to your 10 thoughts from the weekend on orangebloods.com, check it out every Sunday. I got to see that list at the top there. The guy from Kentucky that ran all over Florida this weekend, yeah, he's fourth. Jonathan Brooks has 3 more yards than he does this year. There's your list right there.
Then we'll get back into some Jonathan Brooks discussion in a moment. By the way, let's let everybody know, special offer on Orangebloods this week, all week long. There it is. You get the entire season, the rest of the season for free. Promo code BEATOU. Just scan that QR code. I mean,
come on, get in.
You're not on Orangebloods and you're in the middle of a potential national championship run, and then you can check out everything on Orangebloods. It's free for the rest of the season if you want to sign up today or sometime this week. Just scan that QR code. There we go.
There it is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well done. Well done.
Make sure, though, you use the BEATOU promo code.
Yes, be sure that beat OU. That's the focus of every Texas fan this week. Well, that beat OU, timestamp OU sucks, all of the jokes that come around. That's what makes it such a great week. And you know what? I disagree with this super chat, but we will throw it in there because El Presidente throws $4.99 at us. The fact that no reporter asked Sark what his favorite state fair food was disappointing. Austin media is soft. Who doesn't like a fried Twinkie? All right, El Presidente. We get the general point of what you're saying. I want to just
say I agree with El Presidente.
I like the general point of what you're saying, but after years and years and years and years of listening to that question, I kind of was glad it wasn't asked. I didn't miss it until you mentioned it. This is a year, though, where you probably could have asked because they are looking pretty good. So it's always a read the room moment for me, Ketch. If you get beat the week before OU, don't go asking about turkey legs and corn dogs and stuff and all of that. But this is a week where it could have happened. So, El Presidente, I get it. He could have, it would
have been ironic in this week. Like, it
would have been.
That's the question you ask when OU's ranked 7th and Texas is unranked. Then
right.
It's like, yay, Sark.
Oh.
Can't think of any football questions I want to ask because they might just alienate you. So, what's your favorite thing at the state fair? It says a lot about El Presidente makes a really good point, honestly.
No doubt.
It says a lot about the quality of this game this year that was not a question that was asked because it almost is a yearly rite of passage. One more super chat, and then I'm giving my Jatavion Sanders medical update because I feel like that's important.
Feel like
Burnsy. I like Burnsy 196.
Burnsy 999. Gonna need a voice here, Ketch. I'm talking about all the way to the top. Yeah, unjustifiably in a position I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top. Oh yeah. Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were doing Randy Macho Man Savage because you saw that Randy Macho Man Savage was being referenced at the wow.
Once I realized he's talking about one of the most famous great promos that shouldn't have been a great promo when Randy Savage literally grabbed a little creamer. Have you ever seen the promo? He grabs a creamer, like a coffee creamer, and he's sitting there. I mean, he's in that, tight shirt and the muscles and everything, and he literally holds it up in front of Mean Gene, and the cream will rise to the top. Yeah, he has the whole promo with this creamer in his hand, and Okerlund is standing there like, what in the world is happening? So, yes, Burnsy, the cream needs to rise to the top on Saturday.
Savage usually would do like an 8-ball right before cutting one of those promos. I mean,
oh my God,
it's the only way to do a promo back in the day. All right, so injury update.
Yes.
Someone wants Macho Man Lou Holtz, which you may need some time to think about.
Oh, Notre Dame. Oh, you don't mean combined. You mean like interacting with each other. Okay.
No, I was thinking a combined Macho Man Lou Holtz.
Oh, like putting the two together, or maybe just
I mean, no, I just said that's the yes. Sandman 23 says yes, combined. That's what he meant.
You want the combination. Okay. So you want a little bit of Elizabeth, will you marry me? You want that? Like him doing Macho, and then how do we I don't know.
How does Macho do Lou?
And then if Macho does Lou, then oh yeah, Notre Dame, God's team. People love it. Yeah, absolutely. We coach Notre Dame. The helmets are gold, and you got to get it. Dig it. Jimmy Johnson's an ass. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I'll accept that.
All right. I've never been asked to do that one.
Maybe take some time and think about it just a little bit longer. Like,
I never do that. I just rush right in.
You just went right in head first when you could have saved that for 2:00 coming out of crap bag. Like, here's my Lou Holtz Macho Man.
I should never work for the bomb squad ever. Let's just bust the door down. What's the problem?
If you'd be the police officer who like always forgets the warrant.
Yes. Oh, that would be
here. Knock, knock. It's like, no, Chad, you got to wait.
Right. We got to wait. Go in yet. The thing and the paperwork. Yeah, that's what we got to do. All right. So Jatavian Sanders and Ryan Watts.
The most delayed. Well, let me be clear. I don't really have an update on Ryan Watts.
Okay.
Just full transparency. I guess I could make one up. He's day to day. Jatavian Sanders, though, I was talking to a source yesterday, and sometimes when you're asking sources for information that you're just trying to be coy and slick about it. So I sent a message, and it was like, yeah, so they're not having to cut Jatavian's leg off, right? Like he's going to live. And the source was like, huh? What? Then I had to say, oh, that was just my way of like contacting you and letting you know that I was inquiring about whether or not you'd have a Jatavian Sanders update. Mm-hmm. And, up until that point, Sarkeesian kind of indicated on Saturday that they were extra cautious with Sanders and they held him out. It made it sound like he could have gone back into the game. They chose not to. We saw Sanders moving fairly well. It didn't look like he was it wasn't like he got carted off. He was on his own power. So I think there was a lot of optimism. Like he'll play. He could have gone back in and played, Chad. He'll play. Mm-hmm. So yesterday I'm trying to be sneaky and I'm contacting one of my sources and asking about the injury. And once he realized what I was doing, he was pretty pessimistic about Sanders' chances of playing in the game. As a matter of fact, so that I don't get it wrong, I'll read what was said. It wasn't like a whole lot, but to be fully, it said, I was asking if Sanders is okay. Mm-hmm. He wrote back, I think he's going to be doubtful.
Okay.
And that's less, and I got nothing more than that. It wasn't like, hey, this is why I think that. It wasn't really like a big breakdown of it all, but like that's one of my E.F. Huttons.
Yeah.
And if E.F. Hutton says, I think he's going to be doubtful, I don't think he made that up.
Right.
I don't think he was he got that impression from somebody that matters. I can assure you. So one of the stories about this game going in is is the availability of Sanders going to be? If you ask me, I think he plays. I think he at least gives it a go. But as we talked about on Saturday, one of the things with ankles and everything else is, you can think you're ready to play, and then 2 plays into the game, that can all change. So what does a Texas offense, what does this Texas OU game look like if one of the top 5 most potent players in the game for either team combined is unavailable? And I think there's at least a modest chance going into Saturday that Sanders either A, won't be available, or B, could be certainly limited in the game. It does change, I think, Texas's approach and who Texas is against the Sooners. I don't know how to equate how much he's worth. I think it was either in the post-game show or during the watch-along, somebody asked, is he worth a touchdown? Does your score change by a touchdown based on him not playing? And I don't know that I would go that far, but he might be like a 4-pointer, Chad.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, my response to is the game going to change without him? I'd say it better. If I was a Texas fan after watching, and this is what happens every year with Texas OU week, but I think this year is an extra special version of we're just going to fly right into OU week and not spend a ton of time on the past game. A, because it was a blowout, and B, because the other team's quarterback didn't play, and it almost has a feel of like, what can you absolutely learn? But what we saw, Ketch, was an injury that first of all, it didn't look great. It didn't look great as it happens. But then we saw throughout the rest of the game, Sark's play calling kind of panicked itself into, well, I had some stuff planned for my tight end. I'm still going to run it with my tight end. And it's like, whoa, wait, hold on. That guy is not that guy. So you're going to need to adjust things, and he couldn't do it on the fly. But now he may have the whole week. So when we get through, as they're going through this week, Ketch, he may know it. He may know right now that Zero's not going to play. But he may also learn it during the week. So I would make sure I had two different game plans, maybe in honor of this is the first Texas OU game since Mike Leach died. Let's go 2 different game plans, right? Leach had a fake one time. Have 2 real ones. Have one for Sanders plays and one for he doesn't, but you cannot lay those plays one on top of the other and say, okay, Gunnar Helm or somebody else is running those plays. I'm just hoping that Sark is going to that level of detail if I'm a Texas fan this week.
Well, you think about this Texas offense, what we've talked about all year long, once they got the addition of Adonai, still innocently making that mistake, Chad.
Yeah, Sark did it today, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah, he called him AD. The announcers still call him AD. Like, it's going to take a little while.
We're trying.
Yeah.
It's just like A-Chan. Like, I still said A-Chain yesterday. I couldn't help it.
I know. My buddy called me talking fantasy football, and I started to correct him, and I went, wait, hold on, chat. Stop. I'm having to train myself.
But when we talked about this offense, the idea is teams are going to dictate their coverage to Xavier Worthy. He's the guy that scares the ever-living shit out of opposing defenses. And when you look at the game that he had 2 years ago where he goes, 9 catches for 261 and a couple of touchdowns in this game, you know why. If teams get all willy-nilly with Xavier Worthy and just give him a bunch of man-to-man, he can put a 261 burger on you and make it look really easy. So if teams are going to do that, and a year ago, this was a problem because when this happened, their outside receiver, who was supposed to be Isaiah Nayor, and then turned into a motley crew of basically every other wide receiver on campus got an audition to be the outside guy. And not until Casey Kane in the bowl game did anybody actually play at a high enough level to make you go, yeah, no, that guy should be on the field. So the idea becomes if they're focused on Worthy, and you have Mitchell and Sanders, then you've got 2 NFL level guys. And people were talking about Sanders as being a first round, second round kind of a guy. I think everybody thinks Adonai Mitchell is going to play in the NFL as well. It's hard to know exactly. He had more than 3 catches in a game at Texas until Saturday, and he had 10. So it's hard to exactly know what he is as an NFL draft prospect. But those guys are getting one-on-ones. They're getting one-on-one matchups, and they're getting matched up against the lesser pieces of a defense. They're getting, Sanders just a matchup problem in general. What do you use with him? A linebacker, he beats those guys. DBs, he beats those guys. And then kind of the same thing with Mitchell. He's getting the last guy on the field that you want on somebody. It's the right fielder in like Little League baseball. But if you take Sanders out, now when Texas is in 11 personnel or they're in 12 personnel, when they've got a tight end on the field, he's not a guy that you have to worry about. And I'm not saying you can just let Gunnar Helm like wide open. You can't leave him uncovered. But you're not worried that guy's beating your guys for 80 yards on any given play. And, I think teams would feel like we can worry about Mitchell. We'll give we got enough now that we don't have to worry so much about the tight end. We'll look a little bit towards giving some little help towards Mitchell. And then what's left in the passing game, it limits potentially what Texas is able to do from a playmaking standpoint. On Saturday, they threw the ball 20 times to Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell, and they caught 17 of the 20 targets, which is exceptionally well. That's fantastic. I mean, you'll take that, by God, you'll take that in every game that you play the rest of the season, but that's not going to happen in every game that you play the rest of the season. And so, yeah, if you don't have Sanders, the entire Texas offense changes. And Chad, this is a look ahead. We've had some of these conversations already, which is enjoy Sanders when you have him, because when he's gone, you're not replacing him the next season with anybody remotely. Tight ends just don't grow on trees like that. I mean, they're hard to find really, really good ones. There's a reason why when we're doing the Sanders, and I feel like I jinxed Sanders, by the way. Hey, he's on pace in the last game of the season to break these records. And then 5 minutes later, he has an injury and might not play against Oklahoma. Sorry about that. What you're going to find out next year, now you're finding out in the biggest game of the season. What do we do? What changes do we make? What becomes realistic when we don't have this guy? And that moment may be now. And even if he does play on Saturday, it's hard to know what version you're getting.
Yeah, interesting here. El Presidente throws in a super chat of $4.99. Might be a good week to dust off 10 personnel and give Cook a chance to shine on the field. That's an idea.
I love it.
Jonte Cook as an idea. I'm not a ton of it, but some of it. Yes, a 10 personnel, make him deal with 4 wide receivers, and he's one of them. Worthy, him, Whittington, and who am I missing?
Mitchell.
And Mitchell. Duh. After the game he just had. Yeah, that's kind of tough to deal with. And obviously, and Brooks is the back. You want to run that with Baxter as the back, however you want to work it. That's impressive. So yeah, we'll just kind of see what the week gives us. But I think that's going to be key, is how they kind of adjust to whether or not he's in. Blake says there's only one tight end in the country better than Sanders, Brock Bowers. I know a lot of people believe that.
I don't even know that that's true.
I'm not even sure of it either. Bowers does have some big time games.
He's incredible. They're two incredible players.
He's throwing some big games out there, and he's kind of saving Georgia's ass a couple big games this year. I think that's what makes him stand out a little bit.
But going into last week, Pro Football Focus had Sanders rated as the number 1 tight end in the country, and Bowers was 5th. Now, Bowers just has a monster game over the weekend, so I think there's a little bit of recency bias of we just saw Bowers have kind of what should be a weekly Brock Bowers performance. He's that good, but it's the first time we'd seen that all season. Over the course of 5 games, I think tight end 1 nationwide so far has been Sanders, but Brock Bowers is a beast. Don't mistake that opinion for that.
And I think it's also fair to point out one of them's got a quarterback that's kind of coming along and learning, and the other one doesn't. Like, the other one's got a more developed quarterback. You can feel the Georgia thing like developing in front of us. The Texas thing feels more developed.
Yeah, but we'll still see like Sanders make some one-handed catches that you go, oh, he can do that.
Oh, yeah.
He and Bowers are the 2 guys that every week can make a play that makes you go, oh.
Yeah, no, they're
he's capable of that.
So this is Shook One's, maybe an H-Town guy, Super Chat $4.99. In terms of Chad as maybe he's the reverse jinx, Stroud shreds Pittsburgh. Sorry the missus had to witness it, but please attend every home game from now on. LOL. Love the show. Yeah, we sat next to a couple Texans fans, and I said, do you guys need us to come back every game? They're like, it might not hurt, because the Texans certainly look good yesterday.
I think they're going to be okay because C.J. Stroud's – I know this. I'd rather be a fan of the Texans moving forward in the short future, short intermediate, than Steeler fans.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me who I want, Pickett or Stroud for the next 5-10 years, not a hard question. I mean, Texans fans, I think, have a real reason to be interested, like really interested in and inquisitive about their team, I think they've got a guy that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Yep, I do too. Got to see him up close and personal yesterday, and he did some stuff. He was impressive. We'll get into some of that. Little NFL to talk about. Big weekend. We're coming up on buy or sell at 1 o'clock. We've jumped in talking Texas, the injury stuff with Jatavian Sanders and Ryan Watts. Just a day-to-day report from Sark. We will continue, obviously, to talk some Texas football. Real quick, let me talk.
Hold on, real quick.
Yep.
Darwin, it's not even close. I hate to say it, but CJ is going to win a lot of these, and he definitely wins that versus 30-plus-year-old Dak Prescott moving into the future. Okay, move along.
Darwin, yeah. By the way, Darwin, that's kind of a how dare you on a week where both of them look so good and their teams are great. Can we just bask as Texas NFL fans? Can we just bask in this for a little bit?
No.
All right.
We don't bask.
No, we can't. We can't do that. Before we talk about another quarterback, let me talk about sinus and snoring specialists. Great sleep over the weekend. I was in Sugar Land seeing the in-laws, which means I get to sleep it's my brother-in-law's old room. Sleep in there and the fan's blowing, and man, I always sleep so good, just out like a light, and then just, eyes pop open at the alarm. It's fantastic. Sinus and snoring specialists can make sure that you're sleeping like that and you're resting like that. My wife has got her new CPAP in the ordering process. She's going to get that, and we are certainly hopeful that she's going to be sleeping great coming up. I've been sleeping great since 2017. That is your QR code right there, and I know some of you have clicked on it and gone to see Dr. Slaughter and sinus and snoring specialists. I do appreciate that. Just tell them you heard about it, you saw the QR code here on Orangebloods Live, and they will help you out. They can get rid of your allergies for good. November used to be a hellacious time for me in allergies, but no more since 2017. Sinus and snoring specialists feel clear, rested, and healthy. That website is sinussnoringent.com. If you're old-fashioned and you just want to call them, 512-601-0303. Sinus and snoring specialists. All right, we're getting ready for Texas and Oklahoma. It's chapter 119. Ketch, here's a little special number for you. A couple special numbers. Because of what happened with Texas and Texas A&M, now the rival that Texas values the most will be 1 year ahead of the overall count of Texas A&M games. So this year is 119. Next year will be 119 for the Longhorns and Aggies. So now, assuming everything continues, Texas will be 1 year ahead with Oklahoma than they are with the Aggies. If I was a Longhorn fan, that would feel about right.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm just saying. There's no response needed. It just is. It's just a fact. Here's another dumb number.
Thank you for the fact.
Yes, here's another dumb number if you want it. Kansas went into the game last week averaging 218 yards a game. Last time they won in Austin, they ran for 218 yards. Jonathan Brooks on Saturday ran for 218 yards. How about that? Just rich tapestry of stats. Just the number comes back.
The crap bag is at 2 o'clock, Chad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not
Terribly
now.
sorry.
Sorry,
The crap bag is at 2 o'clock. How about this version of the game has only happened 7 times, and Texas is 7-0. How about that?
Ooh, now that is a stat.
You like that one?
So you're telling me that all 7 times that these two teams have met in this game with undefeated records, Texas has won every one of those matchups?
It's much more specific than that, not just undefeated. I looked up the specifics of when is Texas top 5 and when is Oklahoma 10 or lower, because that's the matchup we're looking at. There have been 7 occurrences of that. Texas is 7-0 in those games. So every year,
most recent being 2009.
Very good. And yes, and that game was the first time it had happened since 81. So
yeah, because OU wasn't ranked in 2005.
Right. Wouldn't happen. Right. It hadn't happened in a long time. So what I love to do with this game, everybody loves to do the throw out the record books. I like to read the record book before I throw it out. And when people say throw out the record books, I think what they're referencing is unranked or low-ranked Texas teams that pull off something crazy. It's not
the Texas side that does
exactly
the crazy.
So to me, they're never referencing this version. This version of it, Texas top 5, Oklahoma 10 or worse, 7-0. Now, 4 of the 7 are one-score games. In the other 3, it's 20 or more. You get to enjoy it, but it is 7-0 if you care about such things.
There's no OU version of Peter Gardere.
No, not really.
Where it's like 4 times he went in as the underdog against Oklahoma, and 4 times Oklahoma, when they have not performed well in this game the way Texas has as underdogs.
Correct.
Which means all of that, you can throw out the record books on any given day, the upset, and these. You're exactly right. It's a point that I was trying to make the cliche point earlier today, and I stopped myself because it was like, well, Charlie Strong had one of those games, and McWilliams, and there was some Texas side of that where OU kept coming in ranked 10th and losing for some reason, but there's not a whole lot of the reverse, and your stats prove that out.
Yeah. So it's going to be that, this is one of those games that, but again, like we said, undefeated, both of them undefeated for the first time since 2008. That's the first year Ketch and I were doing radio together. Like, it's been that long since they've both been undefeated. Last time Texas was 5-0 was 2009 going into this game. So it's got a historic feel. Here's the other one, Ketch. For this week in college football, there are 4 ranked matchups, but there is only one where I can guarantee you that the loser is still ranked, and it's this one. It's Texas OU, because in the other 3, you have a 23 versus 25. You got a 20 playing 5, I think it is, and the Notre Dame game is like Louisville's at 25, something like that. So in the other 3 games, a team could lose, and one of them they guarantee are out. In that LSU, I think it's LSU playing somebody that's a ranked. And they'll fall out. But this is the only one where I can guarantee you that the loser is ranked. This game is back to where it is supposed to be. If you're a Texas fan, and obviously you love this game if you're a Texas fan, this is what it used to be like, Ketch. The only other thing that would get in the way of it was like a Florida State-Miami game when those 2 were still nasty. That's the only other game of the day anybody cared about other than Dallas.
Yep.
This week, game day is going there. I have not heard where Fox is going. I don't know if they're going to, but this is the game of the week that absolutely, positively matters. And that's what it's supposed to be.
The queen of the show, South End Zone Queen, wants to know, and I'm just giving you some homework, should you not already have the answer to this. What's the all-time record when both are 5-0 regardless of rankings?
It's a good question. I did not look that one up specifically. I'll check you out, South End Zone Queen.
It might be Tuesday, but don't you worry about that.
I'll get to a look. Both 5-0. I'll look it up, see how many times it's happened.
By the way, found you in the 3rd quarter there, End Zone Queen. Nice job. Way to represent. You told us you were there.
Yeah, I still need to go look at that. What was it, 4th quarter, 4.5 to go?
4:35.
4:35. South End Zone Queen. I was traveling after the game, dealing with stuff, but I'm gonna do a rewatch. I'll check you out.
You can always internet sleuth her if you don't know who you're looking for, right? Because
that's true. I should probably do that, right?
You'd be like a picture of 10 people, and it'd be like, there
she is.
Yeah.
And I could jump on the show tomorrow and say, hey, great sunglasses. I wasn't wearing sunglasses, jackass. That wasn't me. All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this where we do the referendum part of Dylan Gabriel? Do we have enough time? I think we do.
I think so. Yeah, I'm in the process, Ketch, of rewatching the Iowa State game with Oklahoma. That was a wild game, lots of big plays and stuff. But I've been focusing in on Dylan Gabriel because I know you've been talking about him for a while and breaking numbers down. The numbers that you had in the 10 Thoughts on the Weekend were fascinating, and I would invite people to go check that out, orangebloods.com. Not only that, but to go check out this incredible free trial that exists all the way up to kickoff of Texas and Oklahoma. You should go do that.
Oh, and I have my 10 Thoughts on the Weekend, the first section, which is 1,000 words. It's free. Go check it out on my Twitter page. Go to orangebloods.com. Find it on the page. If you want to get a little cookie taste of what we do on OB, of course, you can take advantage of the free trial. But I believe you can also find the free trial inside that article if my man Jason Sukumel set that thing up the way we usually do. But yeah, so all 10 Thoughts is there. Really strange, Chad, that I found a way to upstage Texas OU in my 10 Thoughts from the Weekend by ranking my top 10 World War II movies of all time.
Oh, really? That got a little attention?
Way more than anything else that I wrote about.
Yeah. Well, big subject. It's a big subject matter. People
And you
get
know
into
me,
those things.
I'm fully defiant on my thoughts on the matter.
You're saying that how you're placing World War II movies mattered to people more than where you placed like Motley Crue for American rock bands? Like that mattered more to them?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. And I wondered, I was like, what's something that's kind of easy to do? But I thought I was doing something that would be talked about, but I didn't think it would overshadow everything else that I wrote about in the column.
Yep. You know what you should have done? You should have done the list of the most successful TV shows around the Korean War, and then it would have been a nice short discussion, and you move on.
MASH makes up 10 spots.
That's right.
The funny part of that is, like, at midnight last night before going to bed, I started watching the 1966 version of the movie Midway, or maybe it's 1980. I forget what year it comes out.
Okay.
With Charlton Heston, and because that seemed to be the movie that most people were most mad at me. And I was like, I've seen Midway before. Like, it's okay. It's a good movie, but it's not in a discussion with like Saving Private Ryan for one of the best movies about the subject material ever made. So I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and my current opinion on the matter is I was right. And it's a bunch of old people who saw Midway when it first came out and like, oh, it's the epitome of movie making. And then like 40 years later, you've seen movies made better, and you're just like, it's good. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
But
just for the record, how many subjects are there right now where your current comment on the matter would be, I was right? I'm just wondering.
It's high. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to completely
more than a handful.
It's heaping handfuls, Chad.
Maybe a bushel basket, maybe an old school bushel basket.
If on the handful scale, it's a heaping handful. It is.
Oh, Blake, the producer, is asking if it's 85%. See, that's just rude. There's no need to ask that question.
People, you see what I got to put up with? At 8 o'clock, at 8:45 in the morning, one person I'm working with is like, "Are you in a good mood?" And then I do the show, and then my producer is like 85%. Like, I'm catching shanks.
Man,
prison schoolyard here.
Yeah, I had to learn that one along the way. The 85% references Kyler Murray. We will not tell the entire story, but anyway.
By the way, Jay Ward, I counted Band of Brothers as a movie. It was very controversial. But it's a little bit like ranking the TV shows of the Korean War. If you narrow the prism down for which that is allowed to be counted for, then you just have a real empty list with one thing on it. So I let Band of Brothers in the Pacific count as movies. And I won't spoiler alert, I'm not going to give it away, but I have Band of Brothers ranked very, 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 very high. Very high.
There you go. There it is. All right. Now the question is, when it comes to Oklahoma quarterbacks that you fear could take the Longhorn defense apart in Dallas, where does Dylan Gabriel rank for you?
He's mid. Not mid 4-star.
He's midway through the discussion.
Hey. I was actually referencing was it Corian Gibson a few months ago when he committed, and I called him a mid 4-star, and somehow he got mad at me because he thought I was calling him mid as opposed to he's literally a mid 4-star.
No, you're right there. Yeah.
There's a low and a high and a mid. He's mid. You know, I don't think he's who's that big lug they had that played he's not Blake Bell.
Not the Belldozer.
He's not Paul Thompson.
Right.
But he's not Baker Mayfield either.
Okay. Yeah, I think there may be a lot of guys that wear that uniform that fit into that category right there. Hey, he's not Thompson, but he's not Baker. Okay.
Or Murray or Hurts for that matter.
There you go.
Look, I'm convinced, Chad, that this entire week, this entire game is a referendum on how good Dylan Gabriel is. Because, and look, I've got the numbers. Blake, can we go to the numbers? I looked up Dillon Gabriel's career against top 25 teams.
Okay.
He's played 6 such games. In 2020 against Cincinnati, he had a 110.8 efficiency rating. Then BYU later in the year, 101.8. Those are the only 2 games against ranked teams that he played at Central Florida. He was involved in losses both times and didn't, it wasn't awful. If you just looked at touchdowns and interceptions, you'd go, hey, that's not awful. But one of the themes of him is that against good teams, his completion percentages are trash. And
that's bad.
At Central Florida, it was 53.3, 46.7. Then he goes to Oklahoma. His best game was against Kansas, which, Texas just played Kansas. We know what that is.
Right.
29 of 42, 403, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Hey, there he is. But then you look against Oklahoma State, numbers weren't good. Again, look at that completion percentage, 50%.
Damn, Gundy. The man threw 50%, you let him beat you?
That's what I'm saying. And then in the bowl game against Florida State, not terrible. Pretty good, actually, a 157.1. But again, 58.3. We get on Quinn Ewers for having a 75% adjusted completion percentage when the elite of the elite in college football are around 85%. You can see where he is. Turn the page to that next clip. But it's a screenshot of of my article from Saturday or Sunday night.
Those are the first 5, and you say he's got 6 or 7 of them?
So then if you add TCU from last year, they weren't ranked when they played, but we all know that TCU was a ranked team. They literally played for the national championship. In that game, 7 of 16 for 126. It was already a blowout when he got hurt in that game. In the 6 toughest games of his career, so 5 games against ranked teams, and then the TCU game from a year ago, he has a 2-4 record as a starter. He completes 54.2% of his passes, and he has a 124.65 efficiency rating, which is way lower than Quinn Ewers from a year ago when we were saying Quinn Ewers got to play better football. So, look, that is who Dillon Gabriel has been. He eats below average to average teams for breakfast, destroys them. He's got a 186 passing efficiency so far this year, which is best in the Big 12. It's because he's played all of the kinds of teams that he takes to town. But he's playing a ranked team now. He usually loses to those. He's playing a ranked team now. He usually barely completes 50% of his passes. He's playing a ranked team now. He puts together a career efficiency rating in games against these types of opponents that's well below what's acceptable. And by the way, now he's playing the best defense he's ever played in his career. He's playing the highest ranked team that he's ever played in his career. And he's playing the team with the most talent on one side, on that side of the ball, than any team he's ever played against before. And all of the other times that we've ever seen him remotely against this type of team and defense, he has not been up to snuff. So that's not me saying, Chad, that on Saturday he can't play well. That's not me saying on Saturday he won't play well. That's me saying going into Saturday, this is the game that he has not yet been able to conquer. He doesn't win the games. He doesn't play well enough in them. This is why he's not in the NFL right now instead of coming back for year 5 or 6 at Oklahoma. So we've seen Quinn Ewers play well this season. We've seen Quinn Ewers play well against a top 5 team on the road this season. It's not a referendum on Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
He's got ground that he still has to make up. He's still growing as a quarterback, but we know what he can do. As it relates to the starting quarterback of Oklahoma in this game, all you can do is theorize about what he might be able to do. Because so far in his career, in these types of games, And let's be fair, he's never played a team in the top 5 ever. The closest that he got to was when he was at Central Florida. He's played one top 10 team in his entire career, and that was Cincinnati while he was at Central Florida back in 2020. This is just a different beast, a different challenge. He's never conquered it. And OU can't win on Saturday if he doesn't. But he never has. So, again, for me, this entire week is a referendum on what is Dillon Gabriel. Because on paper, he's the best quarterback in the Big 12. On paper, he's the number 1 rated quarterback in the Big 12. Usually, that means you're kind of a Heisman candidate. But now he has to play a better than average team. And this is usually when Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall and breaks.
There have been a lot of Humpty Dumpies breaking Dallas for this game. You're right. Up over 400 folks in the Specs chat. We thank you for that. Oh, look at this. Look at somebody on the chat, Ketch, maybe taking the work off my plate. Dawn, I hope you're right. Only the third time, 02 and 08, when they were both 5-0. We're going to believe that? Because remember, there were years where you don't get 5 games in when you get to this game. So there's a whole lot of that where you're not going to get to 5-0. But Dawn says third time, so that would obviously be a 1-1. 0-2, if I'm not mistaken, Ketch is 0-2 is Sims versus Hibble, isn't it? Isn't that the Clunk Fest that was?
It's the game that Texas was winning comfortably, and then in the fourth quarter, they threw up all over themselves and lost the game.
The turnover fest where Chris Sims just needed to be better quarterback than Nate Hibble, and he couldn't quite get there. And then 08 is the classic 45-35 Texas.
08's the best game in the history of this series, right?
It's the best game I've seen in the series, yes. Best overall, game. There's moments, obviously, throughout this game. It creates so many of them. But, yeah, the best total game I have seen, period, between the two, it's 08. It's Colt and Sam and Lookout, yes.
Well, because I've only covered Texas football for 30 years. I've never had a Texas fan come up to me and suggest that any other Texas OU game was ever as good as the 2008 game. But that's coming from a Texas side. Like maybe Oklahoma fans, I doubt Oklahoma fans think that's the best game.
Right. I mean,
when you lose, your perspective changes.
True.
But I don't know what the game is that Oklahoma fans would point to and say, no, Ketch, it's not 2008. It's 1976. And this is Texas fans don't talk about the game that way. And the thing is, Texas fans talk about all kinds of games that they've lost for a myriad of reasons spanning decades. There's not a game that I've ever heard of where Texas fans have said, you know what? That Texas OU game from the 70s, maybe the best game I've ever seen in my life. We just happened to lose. I've just never heard that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair. Here's a little super chat for you.
Oklahoma fans might say the Big 12 championship game of 2018.
That's true. Yeah, no, maybe. Now, I would argue that doesn't. I mean, well, it counts. I know it's in Jerry World instead, but yeah. But for the Cotton Bowl, I don't know what they would pick. James super chat $4.99. If JT plays, I like us winning by 14 plus. If he doesn't, it's 14 or less. But Texas still winning, in my opinion. Thank you for that, James.
I'm kind of with James on that. I don't know that that's exactly. I think this is going to be a game. I mean, it's Monday. Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. I'm kind of feeling like this. Because when I watch OU, and I'm still going through that Iowa State game, but I've watched them throughout this season. Ketch, I don't think they're great. I don't watch them and I think, man, that's a great football team. I do watch them and think, well, you're going to have to beat them in Dallas. Like they're
better than Wyoming. They're better than Kansas. They're better than Rice. They're better than some teams that have given Texas tussles so far this season.
Yeah, they've got some aggression to them on offense that I think can always be effective in this game. Their defense is clearly better. This is not a huge limb. They were awful at times last year. The transfer portal has really helped Oklahoma. Really helped them on defense. They're more active on defense, but they also give up chunks on defense that would worry me if I'm an Oklahoma fan. Like the way, it's not that Iowa State scored 20, but did y'all see how Iowa State scored 20? They scored it fast and in big chunks. So maybe a little concern
and
there.
Yet Oklahoma does come into the game. This is, you know what, Chad? The example that you just made is really perfect. Because our eyeballs on Saturday, if you're watching Oklahoma and Iowa State, our eyeballs told us, well, they could have some problems with Texas. Like, if Iowa State's carving them up in the first quarter like this,
yep,
they're going to like Xavier Worth and Adonai Mitchell and potentially Jatavion Sanders and potentially Jonte Cook. But the data, the numbers say that Oklahoma's pass defense is the number one pass efficiency pass defense in the Big 12, slightly ahead of Texas. So what we saw with our eyeballs on Saturday tells us one thing. What the data on the pieces of paper, when we print out with all of the stats, says something else. That's who Oklahoma is at the moment. The reason why they're not in the top 10 is because everybody that watches college football goes, they're okay. Right. They're not great. Yeah. But the stats scream that they should be a top 5 team right there next to Texas. If you look at total offense, total defense, scoring offense, scoring defense, they got the number one quarterback in the conference in terms of passing efficiency. They've got 3 receivers in the top 14 in terms of receiving yards. They have the number one pass deficiency and as a run defense, I think they're averaging. I think teams are averaging 3.2 yards per carry against them. So it's like everywhere you look,
right?
OU looks like a pretty good team.
There's good numbers. Yeah.
But if you watch them play against SMU and Cincinnati and for a half against Iowa State, you would go, I don't know. And you know what? If the Alabama game didn't exist, you'd say the same things about Texas. The issue is the fair. Alabama game does exist.
The only caveat I would make there, Ketch, the only difference for me would be I feel more sure about Texas's defense in terms of stability than I would about OU's. I feel like OU's given up more crazy stuff than Texas is. Outside of that, I think you're dead on.
Of course, Texas has played JT Daniels, the Wyoming backup, the Baylor backup, and the Kansas backup.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Outside of Bama. Exactly. That's what it is. Yeah.
Because, Chad, if you were going to find worried Texas fan, right? Now, look, most of the people in the Specs chat, by the way, you guys have been great in the Specs chat today. May it continue for the rest of the week and into the watch along and into the post-game show. And hopefully the super chats will flow as well. Most Texas fans are cocky, self-sure, very uber confident going into this game. I mean, look, the most recent score prediction in the Specs chat today is Texas 42-21.
Come on, Matt. I like it.
And I'm not even saying I'm not giving a subjective take on what Matt just said. I'm pointing out that the majority of Texas fans are with Matt.
Yes.
But if you were to find a Texas fan who's a little nervous, I'm not quite as confident that this is just going to be a cakewalk. They'll point to Texas hasn't played really a good passing quarterback all year. And Dylan Gabriel may not be good in his career against good teams, but we haven't seen this Texas defense really against a good quarterback.
Yeah, he's way better than anything they've played.
Exactly. Yeah. He just is. And so Texas is untested. And there will be some Texas fans who are like, you know what, though? Kansas with the backup quarterback threw deep and threw a touchdown pass against Texas in the second half. And if they do that on Saturday, Oklahoma will just wipe the floor if it's going to be like that. Overcautious Texas fan looks at their defense and feels like we've played 5 games this season, and not one of those have we played a quarterback that wasn't sketchy on some level.
Well, and that's what's, if you're a third-party observer to this game, and I guess there are people out there that may not care who wins this game, they just like to watch it. This does have the makings of an explosive play party to me. This has the makings of a game with chunk plays all over it. That building just popping over and over and over and over, and it's just going to matter. I'm not saying it's LSU Ole Miss, not quite that much. But I think it could turn in. I mean, what was the classic? 45-35? I think it could turn into that when we'll discuss it throughout the week. The what's the number to win the game? I think the what's the number's got to start with at least a 3.
That's fascinating because
I don't think you win this thing with 24.
I really think there are a lot of Texas fans that don't think there's any way the Texas defense gives up a 3 in any game this season.
Right.
And I know. Chad, I just was going to say, I tend to agree there won't be a lot of games where there's a 3 that they give up, but there might be 1 or 2 this season when it's all said and done, and this definitely has the capability of being one of those games.
Yeah, and we'll never know if I was right and it was going to be back-to-back because I thought Kansas was going to score 30, but obviously that game changes with the Daniels thing. I do think this Oklahoma team could come in and could make things a little fireworksy for Texas in this game. I think I'm going to pick Texas to win the game. My eyeballs and my gut tells me Texas is a better overall football team. And if it is a blowout, I think it's Texas. But I think I'm going to end up picking it more like a close Texas win. I think Sark is going to have to slay that part of the resume this week. Got to win not only your rival game, win a 1-score version of this game, which is one of the craziest things we get to see. But I think he might have to do that to get out of Dallas. 6-0.
It helps. We're getting ready to go into buy or sell. It is the top of the hour, a little bit afterwards here on House Divided. If you're just joining in, thanks is over creeping up on 500 strong in the chat. So we do appreciate that. I am Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. Do us a solid. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Matter of fact, I've got us open up here. I'm cheating. Just to make sure that sometimes I can keep up with the chat if it breaks down. Mm-hmm. I don't think I have given us a like yet. Oh, come on now. There's like 500 of you in there, and only 94 of you have clicked the thumbs up button. You can do better than that. Come on. Right now. Before we go to buy or sell, before we do anything else.
Look at Cotton. 199. We ain't losing in my bowl this year. Well done, Cotton. Well done.
Well done. You know what? It's sad, and you can tell it's Monday. I didn't quite understand that.
You didn't quite get it at first?
Not at first. I was like, Cotton's a Texas fan. What is it? A bowl game? Okay.
That's funny.
If you missed my injury update earlier on Jatavian Sanders, my sources, not Steve Sarkeesian at the press conference today, who listed both he and Ryan Watts' day-to-day. My sources, well, and let's be clear, only one source, but it's a good source. Mm-hmm. My one good source used the word doubtful. Not that he wasn't going to play, but the word doubtful was in the short sentence of how they were describing the situation. I think it's going to be day-to-day. My gut is I bet the kid tries to play, and I bet they got to bye a week after the game. So if he's close,
good point.
They'll give him a shot, and if he aggravates it a little bit, he's got 2 weeks to get better from there. I don't think we're talking about a high ankle sprain. So it's not that. It doesn't sound like.
I don't think he's walking the sideline like he was if it's a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, I agree.
And
quite frankly, it'll be if they're describing it as day to day, and then it turns out it is a high ankle sprain, and he misses, a month, then somebody needs to apologize for like the disingenuous commentary of how that was reported. To be fair, my source didn't specifically say how bad the injury was. He just said he thought that it was doubtful at this stage, 6 days out from the game. He made this comment yesterday that he would play. We'll stay tuned. I mean, it will be obviously maybe the story of this week will be the availability of both of those players, but certainly I think Sanders even more so than Watts. I think Texas feels very comfortable, Chad, if Malik Muhammad is in the game at cornerback. I think there are some people who think that's actually an upgrade. I might be one of those, although he's never played in a Texas OU game, and Ryan Watts has. And there's something to be said for having the experience of beating the team across from you 49-0 as you get ready to play them.
Yeah, we also have, we'll get into that this week too, right? The whole thing, normally quarterbacks that are experiencing this game for the first time do not always have success. Dylan Gabriel will be doing that, and Quinn Ewers obviously will not. So we'll be getting into a lot of it thanks to 460 plus of you in the Specs chat. All right, you ready for some buy or sell, Mr. Ketchum, on a Monday?
Hold on. Just one quick super chat.
All right.
My favorite mental health tool for Red River Rivalry Week is you place a nice money line bet on OU. That way, I kind of sort of win either way. I'd rather lose the money, but ...
Wow. Okay.
That's not how I roll.
Whatever helps.
But I have seen people who have said that, and I lied. We'll knock out one more super chat just so that we're completely caught up. I live in Oklahoma City. For the first time in my life, these Sooner fans are legit scared of this Texas team, and that makes me scared as a Texas fan.
See, there it is. There it is. This is the ultimate. You've got to live with kind of who you are as a Texas fan, because it is rare that an Oklahoma fan would walk right up to you and be like, hey, got to tell you, scared to death of your football team. Just scared. They don't say that much. Whether they feel it much or not, they don't say it out loud. That's got to freak you out if you're a Texas fan. I get it.
All right, let's do some buy or sell.
All right, who's first?
I'll let you go first today. After I hear your questions, I'll have a better idea of what not to ask with my questions, as I might make them up as we go along.
There you go. All right, here we are. Buy or sell. Number one, Mr. Ketchum. Right now, you'd agree with those 10 AP voters. Texas is the number one team in America.
Buy. That's how I have it ranked right now. I think it's a little bit of a referendum on the rest of the teams in the country, that there's not one that I can point to and definitively say that team is better than Texas. Forget about the resumes. The eyeball test doesn't tell me that there's clearly anybody better than Texas. And the Texas resume right now, I think I saw the number. If you take the Texas opponents and take away the Texas losses, right? Because of the five, Texas played 5 teams. They've given all 5 of those teams a loss. If you do that, the record of the Texas teams so far, I believe, are 18-3, which from a resume standpoint, to have the Alabama win, they beat Kansas. That's 2 ranked wins. Of their 5 opponents, like, here's a little context for you. Of their 5 opponents, 3 of them are currently receiving votes on some level in the polls. OU's 5 wins have 0 teams with even a single vote for any of the polls. So from what Texas has accomplished in context to everybody else right now, I have no issue saying they're number one.
Yep, I think there's an argument for it. Buy or sell, number 2, Ketch. Cowboys won 38-3 yesterday. That is the biggest defeat Bill Belichick has ever had to eat. Yesterday, as a Cowboys fan, top 5 regular season happy games of the last 20 years.
Sell. Okay. I actually enjoy the Giants game. Look, we have no postseason memories to be fond of, really. But we got regular season games out the wazoo from the last 20 years. It's basically all we have. You could make the case that 2 of their 3 wins this season were games that might qualify as top 5 regular season happy games of the last 20 years. But I will say this. For like 20 years, the hoodie has owned us.
Yep.
He's been our daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in 2007, I had really good seats to see that 2007 team up close. And that still might be the best Cowboys team of the last quarter century. And they made them look not special.
Yeah, they made them look bad.
So we owed Bill Belichick an absolute ass kicking.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave that to him yesterday. And look, it felt good. That was like sex good. Like, I think I want to make me a ham sandwich after that. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Michael Irvin right now.
It's a weird channeling, but okay.
It was like doing an 8-ball of cocaine after having sex. It was that good. It was good, but I wouldn't say top 5.
Fair enough. All right, buy or sell number 3, Mr. Ketchum. The WNBA finals begin on Sunday, and you can name both teams.
This is frustrating me because the Sky were in the Final Four, but I don't think they're in the finals. Correct?
That's correct.
Because you otherwise tell me Sky were one of the 2 teams. So, man, I've made a bunch of WNBA postseason observations. The series are longer. Mm-hmm. At one point, I have known the 4 teams.
Would it help you if I told you this is the matchup every WNBA fan on earth wants to see? Does that help you at all?
Well, that would make me think Los Angeles is one of the 2 teams.
No, we're going to have it to be it's going to be a sell. It's Vegas and New York.
Well, isn't LA like the glamour team in the WNBA?
I mean, glamour team might be a different discussion, but the defending champs are the Vegas team and the New York.
I did not know that.
Well, there you go. There it is. Days without WNBA talk, 0. Yes, Mark, exactly right. Well played.
Don't blame that on me either.
No, that's not on Ketch. That's on me. That's on me. Buy or sell number 4, Ketch. Today is Sting's birthday. He's 72.
Happy birthday, Sting. I bet he has some tantric sex.
The musician, by the way, not the wrestler. If you could have dinner with only one Sting tonight, you'd pick the wrestler.
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. Don't you figure like you get better stories?
Yeah.
There's something about that evening that feels a little bit better to me than the musician version. Just a little.
I feel like Sting, the wrestler, is just a better hang.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
I feel like if we were hanging out with Sting, the musician, and we were at a restaurant and like a piano player started to play a Sting or a Police song, that Sting would be like, hold up, I need to call my lawyer so that I can get the musician to stop playing the song.
Exactly.
Like that's, it'd be like, Sting, that's just, yeah. I just feel like the wrestler's a better hang.
Yeah, and by the way, I would love him for that. Like, I would tell that story the rest of my life. Sting got the whole place shut down because they wouldn't stop playing goo-goo-goo-goo, ga-ga-ga-ga. Like, it was great.
It was a really lovely version of Fields of Gold, and then SWAT jumped in, and everybody went to jail. Yes.
So good. All right, and finally, Ketch, buy or sell number 5. Right now, I'm seeing Texas by 6, and you'd say lay the points.
Buy. But barely. Careful, guys. I think I like Texas minus the points, but this is a line I would stay away from this week. Just me.
I agree.
It's just me. There are other ways to invest your money in this game. You can go to Prize Picks and pick some different entries there. Maybe do it by the half. I don't know. But like the 6 number, I think Texas is going to win the game. I have in my head no thought of Oklahoma winning this game, but I do think it's going to be closer than Texas fans think. I think 49-0 distorts it from a year ago, and that Texas is ranked 3rd and is played so well. Texas fans feel like they're on a hot air balloon ride above Oklahoma in a lot of different ways. And let's be fair, their beer sucks. They can't get tattoos. I don't think they can buy porn. There's no real reason why you'd want to live in Oklahoma. Like there are no real benefits. I mean, the specs in Oklahoma sucks. All of it's watered down stuff. You'd have to go to the Texas specs to get the best version of specs. Yeah, so I just went on a little bit of, sorry, I just lost my head. Go ahead. Are we done?
I'm done. Yes. By the way,
that was question number 5.
Somebody says it's 6.5 now, so it's headed that way. People are liking Texas right now. All right, Ketch, buy or sell?
Buy or sell number 1. Sorry, puberty. You've been there, Chad.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of nowhere, your voice just stops working.
Yeah.
Buy or sell number 1, Jonathan Brooks, ranked number 3rd in the country in rushing. You think there's a little bit of fool's gold there, and there's no way he ends up in the top 10 at the end of the season.
I'll sell that right now. Feels pretty real to me. And Sark, as much as I've gotten on him about I don't believe he'll actually run the ball in key situations, instead of having kind of a group that he hoped, he was going to find somebody, I think he's found him. And I think he could end up top 10. So I'll sell that.
Buy or sell number 2, Jatavian Sanders will play on Saturday against Oklahoma, but he won't be a real factor because he won't be near 100%.
Yeah, that feels like a buy. I definitely think he's going to give it a go. But yeah, he won't be absolute, full blast Jatavian Sanders. I don't know about no impact, but it'll be less of an impact. Certainly not what we saw last year where he gets to go crazy. I think other guys are going to have to do it.
What the hell is this?
Whoa. Gary, is that right? Sting the wrestler lives in the hatch? I didn't know that.
How do you not know that?
Hey, I don't get in everybody's business. What do they send me a list?
Yes, if Sting the wrestler lives in the hatch,
Ketch, look,
that needs to be something that everybody in the hatch knows.
All you people that think Waxahachie is like an 85-person town, like Waxahachie is a fairly big place. There's a lot of cool people that have lived there, lived around there. Uncle Jesse's buried right near there for you Dukes of Hazzard fans. Like, we got some famous folks, all right? I just didn't know Sting was living in town.
You got to make that happen.
Dude, I need to go have a meal with Sting in Waxahachie. That's what I need to do.
Here's what you need to do. You need to take like a bullhorn to the post office in Waxahachie.
Hey, I'm going this weekend. I'm
The
going.
reunion.
He might be at the homecoming game. You don't know. Maybe, Chad, even I got the notification that Sting lives there.
You got to take the bullhorn and just like in the middle of town square. Hello, I'm a big wrestling fan. Can anybody? You got to what about Bob it?
Or do I just do the Sting yell? I go to the courthouse and just go, whoa, whoa, and see what happens. I don't know.
You got to go, what about Bob? What's the doctor's name? He's
That's
like,
I don't know. Yeah.
Just screaming the doctor's name out in the middle of town until the doctor shows up.
Yes. Have we ever discussed my feelings on What About Bob? You and I would not. That will not go well. Have we ever discussed that one? Are you a What About Bob guy?
I fucking love What About Bob.
A lot of people do. It's not my kind of movie. It just doesn't do anything for me.
The scene where he's sleeping and Richard Dreyfuss is jumping on him and he's cock-a-doodle-doo, Bob. Yeah. And then he gives up and the alarm goes off and Bill Murray just pops up. Are you kidding me?
That movie is so not funny to me. It is amazing. I saw that movie and it was really, really good. And it's really good because it's a drama and it's called Rain Man. And then for some reason they tried to make it as a comedy and it doesn't work. For me,
Leo Marvin.
I watched that whole movie. I never laughed one time. And I thought, am I supposed to be laughing here? Is this supposed to be a joke? And I just kept watching it going, oh, I'm supposed to be laughing. I'm so not, but I'm supposed to be laughing. Don't worry. You're not the first one to be disappointed. There are times where Kevin Dunn refuses to talk to me, and most of it's about What About Bob. So,
Dr. Leo Marvin, that's what you need to do in the hatch.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll give it a try.
Buy or sell number 3. Your Aggies can't get any votes for the top 25, and you think that's wrong. At least somebody out there rightfully should be voting the Aggies into the top 25.
Well, this is interesting because they are receiving votes, right? They're the third team receiving votes. So they're getting votes.
Did they? I read somebody, this may be fake news, but I read somewhere that the Aggies didn't have any top 25 votes.
Okay. But if you're the third, hang on one second. I've got it right in front of me here. If they are the third team receiving votes and it says A&M 31, that means they got votes.
Okay. Well, right? Shame on me.
Okay. So they got votes.
Scratch that question. This is what happens when you make your buy or sell questions up in the middle.
Okay.
Buy or sell number 3. Going in a different direction. Pretend that didn't happen. And by the way, apologies to Jordan Whittington. I have said that Jordan Whittington has 0 touchdown catches in his last 20 games.
Yes.
He scored last year against Iowa State.
Oh, see.
He is 1 in 20. And look, what do I always say? I'm like baby's dad in Dirty Dancing. I'm a man. I admit when I'm wrong. You looked wonderful out there. And so Jordan, I apologize. I did not mean to slander you incorrectly. Buy or sell number 3. Last night in New York, Chiefs Jets was Taylor Swift night again.
Yes.
And if you were Mrs. Patrick Mahomes, it would annoy you every time they showed her in, the suite, as much as it appeared to have annoyed Mrs. Patrick Mahomes.
I never saw a shot of her. They had shots of her during the game?
And some bitter beer face looks on her face while Taylor was celebrating.
See, it's the way you constructed that. You said, if I was Mrs. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
So if I was Mrs. Patrick Mahomes,
would you have bitter beer face?
No. It's a sell. I love the fact that the tight end is getting some attention, that my guy doesn't have to deal with the attention. It's a story there, but I'm fine with it. I understand it comes with being a great team. I'm just happy for Travis, and I hope it works for them. So I'm going to sell. I'd be a different Mrs. Mahomes.
Real quick, if Mrs. Mahomes were smart, she's got a bad Q rating. People don't like her.
That's true.
They just don't like Patrick Mahomes' wife, and they don't like his brother. But they love Patrick. It's
correct. Yep. You're right.
So if I'm his wife, I'm trying to get tight with Taylor.
Bye.
That
yes,
people are like, oh,
and that's
friends with Taylor Swift. Oh, this can't be that bad.
Right. And that's what I would do. If I was Mrs. Mahomes, I would work through Travis Kelce and I would try to find a way to do exactly that, Ketch, because one of the most powerful social media monsters on the planet right now is Taylor Swift. It's the woman that's dating the tight end. Did you hear that Travis Kelce got 900,000 plus Instagram followers in a week just because he's dating her?
That's working for him.
You have got to tap into that if you are Mrs. Mahomes. I agree with you.
Just out of curiosity, buy or sell number 4. Cowboys gave Bill Belichick the worst defeat he's ever received, I think, in any game he's ever been a head coach.
That's true.
I just wanted to say that out loud. In the event that we weren't able to talk about it later.
Speak the truth, Jeff Ketchum. Yes. Speak it.
For you, that ranked as one of the top 5 most happy moments of the last 20 years of regular season Cowboys football.
Yeah, I think it is a buy. And it is because there's multiple reasons why, but remember, one of them is I'm driving home at that point. So if that game had been tense, like crazy tense, and I'm having to follow what's going on while driving, you know how that, dude, it was such a great day. We're having a little lunch. I'm peeking in 3-0. Okay. Got to finish those drives and make them touchdowns and not field goals. So now I'm a little frustrated. Then it's 3-3. And then everything was just great. And I see the pick 6 and I see a 2-point conversion that wasn't whatever that was. And it just kept getting better and better and better. So yes, considering what I was dealing with, one of the best drives home I've had in a long, long time, watching all that go down and listening to all that go down. It was great.
It was lovely.
Oh,
and finally, buy or sell number 5. The hoodie, Bill Belichick. He drafted Mac Jones. That was his call, his decision. That was his guy. And because he made that draft decision, and now New England fans are having to live with the consequences of that decision, you think the hoodie should be fired, buy or sell?
Oh my God. Absolutely. Buy. No. Well, I mean, he's Belichick, so it's got to be a sell. You can't.
You're gonna let the guy just gets to coach until whenever, right?
He does, yeah.
But he's not doing a good job right now.
He gets to coach till whenever. Here's what I'm trying to figure out as a Cowboys fan. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I'm learning. As a Cowboys fan, I feel like, I've actually used the analogy recently about dating a stripper, but I think the Cowboys are like dating a porn star right now. Like it's a whole nother layer right? Like when you're dating the porn star. So the highs are unreal high, but the lows could be crazy. Like Arizona, that's like your grandmother met her in a grocery store and found out she was a porn star. But these 3 wins have just been like, oh my God, there are no rules. It's anarchy. There's cocaine on a car hood. It's crazy. We have all the money we want. She's hot. The sex is unbelievable. I went to the doctor and everything's clean. Like, it's amazing. What are you learning? What's the substance? Oh, I have no idea, but I'm dating a porn star, and you just run out of the room. That's what I feel like as a Cowboys fan right now. Because Ketch, I don't know if you realize it, but they are traveling to the truth on Sunday night. The San Francisco 49ers are an absolute, positively truthful football team. And I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday night. And I don't know if I know anything based. I thought I was going to learn something playing. I thought we were going to play Aaron Rodgers. I thought we were going to play a division opponent. I thought we were going to play Bill Belichick. All we've done is date a porn star 3 times. The good version. The good version. We got to go to cool parties. We got to meet Ron Jeremy. We did cocaine and it didn't hurt us. Like, all of these things are going on. I have no idea what this football team actually is. No clue. There's my Cowboy thought of the day.
I have 3, actually. Number 1, I'm going to echo Javier in the chat. Chad.
Yes.
That's point number 1. It's just a very
Chad.
Okay. Just Chad.
Chad. Okay.
Number 2, and I feel like your wife, Wendy, would agree with me on this. I really wish for your sake, for like a week, you had dated a porn star. that whole rant sounded, because while you were doing all of that, I was like, I dated a stripper once, and it was like really boring watching her dogs at night while she worked. Like, it wasn't not nearly as cool as like on paper it should have been. So I wish for like a week, like a month before you met Wendy, you had your week of porn star dating, and then the rest of your life continued, but you'd have had that. And then number 3, I hate the 49ers. Like, you and I grew up as Cowboy fans, and we had to watch the Ketch every 5 seconds. And it's really like one of the first memories I have as a football fan. And then it's like reinforced every year. It's just over and over and over again. Yep. And then I get to a point in my life where I'm an adult, but then there's social media. And I guess I always knew that my dad was a 49ers fan, or my father, like whatever you want to call him. He's not close enough to be a dad. He's like a father. He created me with his sperm. He's a 49ers fan who has a suite. And so like I can't follow my dad on social media, the guy who says I wish I'd been aborted. So maybe I shouldn't follow him on Instagram at all. But if you do, there's always like pictures of them and the family posing at 49er games with Roger Craig, and it just it makes my like loathing of the this is what sucks is I like Kyle Shanahan. I like him. I wish Kyle Shanahan nothing but success. He's kind of an awesome guy. But fuck the 49ers.
Yeah. I'm with you. And they are, along with the Eagles right now, not only 2 of the teams that I can't stand the most, they're 2 of the teams that I hate how much I love the way they play football right now.
By the way, JD, you have no idea. You have no idea. You have none.
Oh, my God.
It's embarrassing how much money my dad has.
That is fantastic. All right. Up over 440 folks, and I did not run them off with the porn star comments, so that's good. Here on the Specs chat, house divided. It's Texas OU week, one of the best weeks of the year. Texas and Oklahoma getting ready for that one. We're going to be breaking it down throughout the week. We talked Dylan Gabriel earlier, injury stuff. If you missed it, nothing really specific about Sanders and Watts other than Steve Sarkeesian saying they are both day to day, and he would have more information on Thursday. So make sure you're here for Thursday's show, because that's going to be a big deal if we get a little extra something at that point. All right, so do you want to get into the problem that Steve Sarkeesian has that he had no idea that he was going to have, but I bet he's pretty pumped that he has it?
That's a hell of a way to intro the Jonathan Brooks discussion.
Yeah, because I hadn't thought of it, much like, I guess, again, I don't know, much like dating a porn star. I guess it'd be one of those things of, well, this is a problem. Like, it's a problem I didn't know I was going to enjoy. I have to keep it from my parents. I can't let my children find out. But you know what? This is kind of interesting. But in this case, it really is. I think he thought it was going to be a committee catch. I think he said he was going to have 1,000-yard rusher, but I don't know if he really believed it.
No, I think he did.
And
his guy is CJ Baxter.
Yeah, either that or he thought it was going to be Baxter. The fact that 24 has turned into this is a wild, happy problem that I don't think he was planning on.
No way. Well, I don't know if it's a happy problem. Like, I'm sure he's happy that Jonathan Brooks is the nation's third leading running back. Blake, put that graphic back up, because I knew that he was 16 going into the weekend. Mm-hmm. And I knew that he went for 200 plus. So yesterday when I went to the rushing stats, and I yanked this off of ESPN.com because the NCAA stats hadn't yet updated. Not that anybody cared, but I want to credit who I'm stealing this graphic from off ESPN.com. He's third. That's not my opinion. That's what that little graph right there. That's what it says.
And look at the attempt number compared to the top two. The App State kid's all the way up at 123. Estime's at 95, and he's 9 carries fewer than that. You said he was at 16 going into the game?
Yes.
Is that what you? Wow. Okay.
Which was kind of stunning because he didn't break 55 yards in the first 2 games of the season.
Right.
But a couple of 100-yard games and a 200-yard game, and hello, people, here we are. Look, CJ, this is supposed to be CJ Baxter. When Sark says at the beginning of the year we're going to have 1,000-yard running back, in his mind, it was CJ Baxter. When he recruited CJ Baxter out of high school as a 5-star out of Florida, how did they pull CJ Baxter from Florida to Texas? We're going to start you as a freshman. It's going to be a wide open job, but we think you're the guy. And hey, he did start the first 2 games of the season. He even started the second game of his career in Tuscaloosa coming off of an injury. Like, he was the guy. And so much so that 2 weeks ago, when Sarkeesian was asked about Jonathan Brooks, he said, well, I think he's responded really well because, Cedric starts the first 2 games and was our lead running back. Now, they were listing the position as co-starters, but Sarkeesian after the fact, and Sarkeesian will sometimes do this. You give him like 4 or 5 weeks of distance on a subject, and he will speak truthfully about it in a way that in the previous 4 or 5 weeks that he wasn't.
Yeah. By the way, Mac Brown used to do the same thing, but it would take him like 10 months.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you get halfway into the next season, and it'd be like, we ran like crap last year against Baylor. We know it's what we were. You got mad at us. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And like Sark did it with Ewers too. Think back after the Baylor game last year when they ran the ball like 12 straight minutes and never threw the ball once. And it was like, well, Sarkeesian took the ball out of his quarterback's hands. And like the week after that, it was like, that's not what happened. It wasn't about Quinn Ewers. But then like 10 months later, he's like, we were playing against Baylor, and like sometimes your quarterback is struggling and you have to take the ball out of his hands. I was like, wait, no, we said no. 10 months ago, I said that. And people got mad at me. And you denied it. And now 10 months. So
it's a shame.
He said that like even though they were listed as co-running back starters, that Cedric Baxter was his lead back. We've seen it the last couple of weeks. Anytime Jonathan Brooks' name gets brought up, he can't answer the question without talking about CJ Baxter, Cedric Baxter. Today, asked about Jonathan, doesn't mention Baxter. It's the first time that's happened.
Yes, he was asked about Jonathan Brooks and like the great season that he's having, and he got all the way through it, and he never mentioned Baxter.
Now, look, people oftentimes will say, when I'm about to say the things that I'm about to say, that just Ketch stirring up trouble. Last week, my Jonte Cook, Jordan Whittington take, that set people off, Chad.
Yeah, it did.
And then,
except for people in DeSoto, they really enjoyed it.
Well, but now, like today, we were doing the overreaction show with Anwar, and there were like 20 people. Jonte Cook needs to play over Jordan Whittington. And I'm just like,
really?
Is that so? A, I wonder where you got that idea from. B, where were you a week ago when I gave that hot take and people were like sending hate mail to my house?
Right.
Throughout the offseason, when Steve Sarkeesian thought about his running game taking off, CJ Baxter is the guy that he put his head on his pillow at night thinking about his run game. And it was CJ Baxter who, if there was going to be a number 3 running back in the country, that's who it was going to be. I don't think they really have thought a lot about Jonathan Brooks, really. I mean, A, they didn't recruit him. He is a Tom Herman recruit. He's one of those guys. And so anytime a coach, recruits, perfect example, Mac Brown didn't recruit Major Applewhite. Mac Brown recruited 5-star Chris Sims. And if you ever want to know, like, why was Major getting the shaft and why did it seem so unfair? Because you don't go recruit a 5-star guy from New Jersey and tell him he's going to be held back by the guy who's never going to play in the NFL and is, okay. Now they've got an issue where Brooks has emerged as the star. He's the nation's 3rd leading running back. Unsolicited yesterday, I had my E.F. Hutton recruiting source mention, Jonathan Brooks probably going to be the next big NIL guy. And it makes sense. He's the number 3. You know how many yards he's on pace for, Chad?
It's got to be, it's 1,000 to 1,300, somewhere in there.
If he plays 14 games this season, he's on pace for 1,700 yards.
Oh, good grief. Yeah.
That's what happens when you average 119 yards a game. So then the question becomes, well, would Jonathan Brooks go pro, or would Texas, NIL people get together? He gets taken care of the way Tavondre Sweat got taken care of, the way Jalen Ford got taken care of. Remember Jalen Ford, All-America season, could have gone pro, stuck around for another year. That didn't happen. This is no fairy tale. This didn't happen by chance. They came up with NIL packages that made those guys feel like it was a smart decision. They'll be doing that with Jonathan Brooks if he continues. Look, if the world is the way it sometimes is with me, look at Jatavian Sanders this past week. If I compliment them, their bodies break. So there's at least a 50-50 chance that Brooks doesn't make it through the Oklahoma game because I'm mentioning these sets of problems that could potentially exist because of suddenly Jonathan Brooks is the guy. But imagine a world where Jonathan Brooks rushes between 1,500 and 1,700 yards this season and comes back. What do you tell CJ Baxter, a guy who literally started for you in Tuscaloosa 3 weeks ago?
Well, I just, I guess it transfers your problem. It transfers it from one spot to the other. And in your perfect world, one of those guys was going to become a stud, and you'd have to have a conversation with the other one. So is it really that big a deal that the two guys are switched end up switched in reality? I don't know. Because
look, I think Texas fans will echo your comments. Hey, who cares? As long as someone's the third leading running back in the country, who cares who it is?
Because let me make sure I'm right here, Ketch. Back to your Mac Brown analogy. In this case, Sark recruited both, correct?
No.
He didn't recruit Brooks.
Brooks is a Herman recruit.
Oh, okay. All right. So it does it. I get you. Okay. So laying out your analogy, though, in this version of college football and the re-recruiting of everybody, you're going to have to go back to guys you recruited and guys you didn't recruit. So is it that, I don't know. Is it that much
complicated? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Is it that much more complicated, I guess, is what I would be asking here. Is it that much more complicated than it would have been? Or does he actually have an advantage because the guy he now has to talk to about it on the other side is his guy?
No. When you recruit 5 stars, you are fully invested in them succeeding so that you can recruit more 5 stars. And look, I don't want to say that Steve Sarkeesian promised Baxter anything. It's not like the old, Matt Brown made a deal with Phil Simms that Chris was going to start, and that's how that whole thing happened. No. But in recruiting CJ Baxter, I'm fairly positive that in those conversations, there would have been a lot of conversations that sounded like our top 2 guys are going to the NFL. The depth chart is wide open. We think you're going to be the starter. In fact, he becomes the starter. In fact, he becomes the lead back before it's ever earned, Chad. Sarkeesian 2 weeks ago was talking about Cedric Baxter being the team's lead back. He'd never done anything in the game, in a single game, in his entire collegiate career to warrant being talked about as the lead back. But that's how Sarkeesian has been thinking about him, and Sarkeesian has been communicating that to Baxter. And I think part of what we've seen even in the media is, hold on a second. Shut up! I know that may sound like that was not needed. Mark my words. The dog's not going to bark again.
Oh, okay.
That's a prediction.
Yeah. Not how it happens in my house if this one ever barks, but go ahead.
For whatever reason, this little dog is a bit intimidated by the shut-ups.
Ah, okay.
A lot of times I'll mute the microphone, and it'll look like this. And then I try to come back like nothing happened. But this time I thought I would just say it there. So as you can see, like I shut the dog up. I think that in the end, it's not a huge problem, but it becomes a delicate situation for CJ Baxter because Anwar said he got Wally pipped, and I don't know that that's fair. And even Sarkeesian said as of a week ago, like, hey, who knows what's going to happen before the end of the season? And you know what? Who knows what will happen at the end of the season? Maybe Jonathan Brooks doesn't make it through the whole season. And then CJ Baxter gets an opportunity to play, and he's even better than Jonathan Brooks. And then they just got good running backs. But as of today, it's kind of a one-man running back show. I mean, it is not a platoon system at all. Jonathan Brooks is the starting running back. And when the game's been on the line, he's been getting carries at a 3-to-1 ratio. Now, he got 20 on Saturday, and Baxter got 16 because the game was what the game was, and Baxter was able to get a lot of late carries to add to his total. But I, in my wildest dreams, could not have imagined that we could end up in a situation where, let's say in 3 months from now, Texas has an All-America candidate at running back, maybe a first-team All-Big 12 player, maybe a finalist for the Doak Walker Award. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but at this point, he's a top 3 running back in America for a top 3 team. If that keeps up, he probably is going to be a Doak Walker Award finalist. Because they give out those awards to the best players on the good teams.
Right. It may end up being, and those guys that are up top right now, it could end up being the kid from Notre Dame, the kid from Kentucky, and him.
Yep.
Right? Like
you're exactly right.
That could be the group.
Now, look, in 3 weeks from now, maybe he's 10th and like this is a moot point, but like where we are today, Jonathan Brooks has become one of these stories. In fact, I kind of think Jonathan Brooks is the most important player on the Texas side in this game. Because if I forget about where he's ranked, Chad, nationally for a moment. And in a little bit, I am going to tell the good folks about Prime Shrub. Just as a reminder, we were going to do that in hour number 2.
Absolutely.
But to finish this thought, if you tell me that Jonathan Brooks has over 100 yards on Saturday and tell me nothing else, I think that is a step towards Texas winning the ball game. For me, that's a significant step. If Jonathan Brooks goes, because Oklahoma doesn't have a running back coming into this game that averages more than 40 yards a game. They don't have a single running back in the top 20 of the top 20 running backs in the Big 12 in rushing yards per game. Now, they check a lot of boxes in a lot of different stats, but they don't have anybody running the ball like that. So if you tell me on Saturday that Texas has a 100-yard back, that Jonathan Brooks breaks 100 again, I'm feeling really good about picking Texas, especially on a day when Jatavian Sanders might be limited, maybe on a day where he doesn't play, maybe he's 50%, 60%, but it's a limited version of your All-America level tight end. The running game really becomes important at that point. And the fact that Jonathan Brooks has emerged as a freaking Doak Walker Award candidate, like, again, words that all summer would not have come into my head. Partly because I know how much Sarkeesian loves Cedric Baxter. I know how invested he is into CJ Baxter's success. And I know he knows that the best way to get other 5-star running backs is to have the ones that you get the first time around be super successful. And Brooks is kind of C-blocking the Cedric Baxter experience right now. And it is a weird, unintentional little problem that I think he has to deal with. And I do think in the past couple of weeks, when he's been talking about Jonathan Brooks and finds himself eventually talking about Baxter, it points to what I'm talking about, which is a month ago, he lived in a world where Baxter was going to be the guy doing all of this. Mm-hmm. That the roles have flipped. Yes, that's a good thing. It doesn't matter on some level who the guy is as long as there's a guy. But it does come, I think, Steve Sarkeesian is a master people person. It's his, like Mac Brown, he's a great people person. And I think his relationship with his players love him. But, and I bet Cedric Baxter loves Steve Sarkeesian. And I bet he would tell you Sarkeesian's like the biggest reason he came to the school. And yet Baxter now wants to play. Baxter probably thinks he's the better player because he was the starter for the first 2 weeks of the season. The only thing that Baxter's got to be thinking right now is, I'm only in this position because I got hurt. And now because I got hurt, I'm not the best running back on the team anymore. And it's like, actually, Cedric, no offense, but the answer in the games that we're getting right now is kind of yeah. And it's one of the more amazing things that's happened in this season. And kudos to Jonathan Brooks. What a story. That guy comes from a high school and from an area of the state that, never really produces big-time prospects. I mean, it's not an area of the state where guys are growing on trees as major college prospects or NFL prospects or Doak Walker Award candidates. And yet here he is. He is like the poster boy for an entire region of football right now to say, hey, we can be this good. Look at our guy repping an entire portion of the state. It's a great story. I don't think it was likely at all, but now that we're here, I love this part is a fairy tale. I think the Jonathan Brooks story is a bit of a modern day fairy tale of football because this wasn't supposed to happen, but it is, and I think everybody's enjoying it.
All right, coming up at 2:00, we got some crap bag for you, including a stat you're going to love if you're a Houston Texans fan and you are basking in that blowout win over the Steelers yesterday, plus some other stats that jumped out to me from SportsCenter over the weekend and a big weekend of NFL. There's a crazy college stat about that Baylor comeback. We'll get into all that. Ketch, you want to clean off some super chats before we hit the top of the hour here?
Let's do this. Let me tell everybody about Prime Shrimp real quick.
Yes.
Put that bad boy up, guys, right now. If you're having a big party, you're not going to the game, you're cooking, you're on the grill, it's close to 11 o'clock on Saturday, and you want something that tastes amazing, but that's easy to cook and doesn't take a lot of time to prepare, Prime Shrimp has you covered. Let Prime Shrimp be the star of your cookout on Friday, your party for the game. You get 30% off right now with orders of 6+ packs. It's a little word twister thing there, Chad. Use that promo code Orangebloods30 and you're going to get 30% off, which that's a good deal. I'm like completely woo. Use that QR code, scan it right now. Matter of fact, I'm waiting. Somebody scan it, QR code it. Come on now. I know you have it in you. Use that QR code. Get you some Prime Shrimp. They have all of the tasty different types of shrimp. And then it takes like less than 5 minutes to get it ready. Sukabel was just talking about it the other day. That took him like 2 minutes. And it was like the best meal he's ever had in his life. No one on Orangebloods ever complains about Prime Shrimp. It's the one rare thing on our website that is like unanimous in its adoring sentiments toward it. So Prime Shrimp, 30% off, 6+ packs, QR code, scan it right now, or go to the website, but get hooked up today.
I'm so cool. I tried to scan the QR code, but I'm such an old man. I don't think it worked. So we'll see.
Well, somebody did.
I'm going to have to go back and try it again. It says 2 viewers did. Maybe I was one of them. Maybe I pulled it off. I need to try Prime Shrimp because we do love some shrimp in my house.
Hey, here are the flavors. I'm going to Bubba Gump it real quick.
Okay.
You got garlic herb butter shrimp.
Love some herb.
New Orleans style barbecue shrimp.
Yep.
Signature Cajun seasoned shrimp.
That'll work.
French Quarter Alfredo shrimp.
Oh, I'll definitely try that.
Lemon and cracked pepper shrimp.
Yeah.
Louisiana boil Cajun shrimp.
Okay.
And then unseasoned simply shrimp.
Okay, fair enough. To try all those. Now I know why. I might need 6 packs or more because there's so much to choose from.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. It's that simple. All right.
Exactly. All right. A couple of actually now 3 super chats to clean up. Let's do that before we hit the top of the hour. $9.99 from Texas Boy. Backup quarterbacks we played has nothing to do with the way our D is playing. Maybe the stats, but not the energy and intensity they play with, which will be off the charts this game. I would tell a Texas fan, Ketch, to be confident that their defense will travel to Dallas and be a big part of this game. That front has been really good, and I would assume that continues against Gabriel.
But on some level, that's stupid.
Well, the beginning of it with backup quarterbacks has nothing to do with it. Obviously, it has something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 2 parts of that. Yes, the energy and the intensity will be off the charts. Yes.
Right.
To say that playing the backup quarterbacks that Texas has played so far this season has nothing to do with the way the D is playing. I mean,
like y'all saw Sawyer Robertson except for that one throw, right? Y'all saw him. Yeah.
If Chad had started the Baylor game and I had started the Kansas game, you wouldn't show up the next week going, well, look, our defense is great. Intensity, off the charts. We're flying around the football. It doesn't matter that we played Ketch and Chad in back-to-back games.
Not really. Side note, that handsome kid from Waxahachie can throw.
You talking about Sting?
No, me. He ain't from Waxahachie. He just lives in Waxahachie.
Texas boy, I love you, but come on, man. Let's not do that thing where we act like Texas hasn't been playing bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
JT Daniels is one of only 2 starting quarterbacks that Texas has played this year, and that dude sucks. Let's see. The Queen has spoken.
South End Zone Queen.
Hey, Ketch, what does your number one source say about Kobe Black recruitment? This recruitment has a weird feeling. He hasn't been to one game this season. I tell you what, my number one source has not said anything negative about Kobe Black as far as our communication back and forth is concerned. Things with Kobe Black in Texas are still peachy keen. Now, he's always been a little bit leery of the Aggies because, Chad, no offense, and actually you shouldn't take any here. Like, the Aggies are desperate to get 5-star prospects too, and they have big NIL departments too. Mm-hmm. Like, they got money too. And so, like, they're going to do everything they can to get Kobe Black. And that may be a little bit of a tussle. But I haven't heard anybody starting to flinch or get fear about the Kobe Black recruitment. But I tell you what, I'm going to do right now. Are you
here we go.
nervous? I don't know you, and that's not who I want to talk to. That'd have been awesome if that had been the source. Like, don't even text me. Just, I'm going to answer it right now on the phone.
Have you ever done a live source call on Orangebloods Live? You ever done that?
That'd be badass.
That'd be great.
We could put a black, like the screen could go black.
Yeah.
We just have like a distorted voice.
Yeah. I was about to say, I could do the fake voice.
What do you want to know about Gavin Holmes? Are you asking me about Gavin Holmes?
Yeah. Could do that.
All
By
right.
the way, there's something about Gavin Holmes on
I just sent the text. So
okay.
South End Zone Queen of the show. I'm on it. I'm asking the question. Matter of fact, depending on the answer I get, I might make a post on Orangebloods and turn a whole update out of it. So thank you for potentially creating some content for me.
All right. We're over the 2:00 hour. Crap bags coming up, but we got super chats to get to. Let's clean them off. Catch $4.99 from Travis. Catch, if Watts is out, does Gavin Holmes start?
He could. I think they'll decide that in practice this week if he were not to play. I think they're comfortable with either Gavin Holmes or Malik Muhammad. Wouldn't be shocked if Muhammad were the one to get the call, though.
All right. And a clean $5 from Agent Z. Thank you, Agent Z. What's the story on Nair? Why isn't he playing?
Not as good as the other players. Came into camp out of shape. Really good players in front of him. Not as good as the other players. In the doghouse. 5 things.
Okay, there you go. 5 things, like 5 fingers on one hand. And then did we get to this one? Just a general chat from Mark. Nice to have that problem. RB1 was a huge question in August. True, but still some complications, if you will, off of that.
They're the kind of complications you like, right?
Absolutely. No, that's what you want. Yeah,
if you recruited Anthony Hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put the 5-star player. And then it was like, well, look, we can't get you on the field as a pass rush guy because Jet Bush is 3rd in the nation in sacks.
Right. I was like, what do you want us to do? Right.
He's 3rd in the nation in sacks.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's fair. It's a big time problem. And hell, if you had said we're going to get to OU week and somebody could say, hell, guys, this could be the Jonathan Brooks game forever. Way back in August, I'd have said, well, that's a little presumptuous, but it's not now. It absolutely could be. This is a game that makes names. It establishes names sometimes, and sometimes you don't have to know anything about the game except you'll hear the name and go, oh, yeah, he did have a hell of a game. It could be Brooks. When you go for 150, 180, whatever in this game and a 2 or 3 touchdowns, they talk about you forever.
We have breaking news at Belmont Hall.
Breaking news.
Oscar, reporting live on the scene, was just in the elevator with Barron and Bianco. John was very awkward with the small talk.
Thank you,
reporting
Oscar.
live from the elevators at Belmont Hall. Way to go. Seriously, Oscar.
I hope people appreciate that moment of investigative reporting. Well done, Oscar. Well done.
Oscar, at the moment, is the Specs Chat MVP of the day.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're just jumping in to the show, Baron Sorrell, healthy enough to ride an elevator as of today.
No air casts.
That's right. He's ready to go.
No crutches. He's good.
Sounds like 88's ready to go. 88's ready.
I'll tell you what, 88's a guy that wants to have a big game today or on Saturday.
No doubt.
Oklahoma. He has not had the numbers yet. I think he's been playing better. I thought Baron Sorrell started the season slowly. But I think in the last 3 games, he's played pretty well. And the showy stats haven't been there. For instance, he made a play in the backfield Saturday. He blows up. I think it was a 3rd down play or a 4th down play. Mm-hmm. And he ends up like flushing the guy outside. And then it might have been Taff who came up and run support and cleaned the play up and gets credited for the tackle for the loss. And it's like, well, Baron Sorrell made that play, but he didn't get a single credit, like a no stat for I almost had the tackle for loss. Like they don't give those out.
Right.
But I think, he's due for a double-digit sack kind of a game. Just throwing that out there.
No, I like it.
Early Monday, hot take.
Yeah, no, I like it. And we've seen Texas defensive linemen definitely make a name for themselves in this game with huge plays. We'll be talking about that throughout the week and obviously getting you ready for Texas and Oklahoma, 11 o'clock kick on Saturday, in case you didn't remember that part of the week. Thank you for everybody on the Specs chat. Shout out to Specs. SpecsOnline.com. You can get it all delivered to you just in time for your watch party if you're not heading up to Dallas. And remember, we will have the watch along for you on Saturday. More details on that coming up, but it'll be right here on Orangebloods Live, cranking up at basically 10:45 in the morning. So be ready to jump on in. All right, we are past that 2 o'clock hour. Catch, are you ready for some crap bag today on a Monday?
I mean, I'm ready for crap bag at the top of the hour, every hour of every day.
Well, I appreciate that. I do not appreciate JD for jumping in the chat earlier and saying I need to start looking up stats that actually matter. How dare you, JD? How dare you?
And by the way, tomorrow is Tuesday.
Oh, tomorrow is Turnover Tuesday.
Turnover Tuesday!
Turnover Tuesday's coming. So, JD, you're definitely going to enjoy tomorrow about 2 o'clock. But today I thought I would start with just a little bit of Aggie talk since they're getting ready for the Alabama game. A&M handled Arkansas. That means they've still only lost to Arkansas one time since they joined the SEC. Aggies get a punt return touchdown from Aniyah Smith. They got a pick 6 to answer Arkansas's pick 6. So it had a little back and forth circus craziness like that game can sometimes have. Also, Ketch, I would argue the Aggies have not found a running back officially yet like the Longhorns have, but Le'Veon Moss, 107 on 17 carries. He did average a little over 6 a carry. It's like each of the 3 guys has given you moments where you go, oh, maybe it's him. Maybe it's, and then it'll fall back a little bit. A little bit of Daniels, fall back. A little bit of Moss, fall back. A little bit of Reuben Owens, falls back. So we'll see if anybody can grab on. But A&M and Bama, 2:30 on Saturday. Here's a stat for you, Catch. Aggies had 7 sacks against Arkansas. That's back-to-back games with 7 sacks. The last time A&M did that was 2012. Obviously, that season is remembered for Johnny Manziel and an offense. But remember, in some big moments, they did have a decent defense that year. So that was the last time A&M went back-to-back 7 sacks. And if they're going to beat Bama on Saturday, it's that defensive front. They have to be great. Not good. Got to be great. They have to be awesome up front like they were against Arkansas. Catch, they didn't let KJ Jefferson do anything. Arkansas had 174 total yards in the game. A&M's defense was stifling. They've got to do that Saturday afternoon. Otherwise, Alabama is going to do to them what they did last year with Milroe. They'll protect Milroe. They'll run the ball. And they'll just slowly beat the Aggies to the end of the game. A&M can't let that happen again.
You know what they say about the Aggies right now?
What's that?
The key to the current little bit of success?
Uh-huh.
Elko.
Little Mike Elko?
The ghost of Elko.
Ghost of Elko?
Is still providing defensive residuals.
Okay.
While the offense figures its stuff out.
I like it. I'll take whatever it is. Whatever it is.
Mike Elko back. You do whatever helps.
Oh, I'll go help him pack. But, I mean, he's having a good time. He's having a good time at Duke so far. He's proven himself to be a pretty damn good head coach, too. And, again, that's a 2:30 kick. So if you're just chilling on your couch, Texas at 11, Aggies and Bama will play at 2:30. A couple other things in the crap bag today, Ketch. Just officially teams that we say goodbye to in terms of the playoff. Bye-bye to LSU. They can't go to the playoff. I rocked the Ole Miss shirt today for Ole Miss Girl and the Oxford crew. What a crazy show that was. But with 2 losses, it means you're out. So bye-bye to LSU. Bye-bye to Florida. The Kentucky running back ran all over them. They're out. Bye-bye to Auburn. Not that you thought Auburn was making the playoff, but they are officially out of it now with 2 losses. And not that you thought Dion was headed to the playoff. Colorado did lose their second game, so they are also out of playoff contention. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up in the crap bag today, Ketch, is just random stats. It's stuff I saw on SportsCenter. You know I like to grab it and throw it at you. So let's go, Blake. I got 6 of them today. We got 6 crazy stats to look at.
Impress me.
Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. You bitched at me because I did a recent stat. How about 1950, Ketch? Back to 1950. Best winning percentage in 1-score games. Patrick, Brady, Peyton Manning. That's how good Patrick Mahomes is in 1-score games.
I'm confused.
Yes?
Where's Dak Prescott? I don't see him.
Dak Prescott is not top 3 in that number since 1950.
That's surprising.
Yeah, not to me. Does that shock you as a Cowboys fan? Does that shock you? No? All right. So let's move on to somebody the Cowboys have to deal with. Cowboy fans, there are 2 undefeated teams left in this league, and they are both your problem. Here's number 1 in your division, Jalen Hurts. This is the 5th time he has trailed by double digits and then won the game. Last 5 times it's happened to him, he's won all 5. The last guy to have a string like that was Joe Montana. I don't know what to tell you other than to tell you. That's your problem coming up with the Eagles.
Before we
They're
go to the
damn good.
next one, Chad,
Yes,
I know you heard the dog barking.
I did.
That was the bigger dog.
That wasn't the shut up dog?
The shut up dog, by the way, sometimes it works with the big dog too. But the little dog shut up works.
What does the big dog need?
The Weimaraner doesn't listen to nothing. Ever.
Yeah. Nothing.
He's a Weimaraner.
Yeah, okay. The Gray Ghost does not care. No, Gray Ghost don't care. That's it. Just like the Eagles don't care about the Cowboys and Cowboys don't care about the Eagles. All right, Blake, hit the next one because the next one, I think, is also – is this the other Cowboy problem? Yes, Christian McCaffrey. 600 scrimmage yards and 7 touchdowns through 4 games in a season. Emmett in the 90s, Jim Brown twice, and this dude, CMC. That's a dumb stat. That's absolutely silly is what that is.
Screw him.
Silliness. I agree with you. Screw him, but he's damn good. The Cowboys are going to have to tackle him. Otherwise, things will get complicated on Sunday night.
I miss 1995.
God, I do too. Man, do I miss 1990. That was Emmett. That was Emmett. By the way, that was the year Emmett goes on to reset the touchdown mark and all that stuff. So that is there. Cowboys fans, just think about that. The next one might be is the next one happy for the Tech? No. The next one is this dude. If y'all don't know about this dude yet, this crazy receiver out of nowhere from BYU that's redefining football. Ketch, look what he's doing.
You ain't got to tell me. I got him on my fantasy team.
First 4 career games in the NFL. Most receptions, it's him, 39. Most receiving yards, it's him.
I've got him and Achan on my fantasy team.
Dude, how about Anquan Bolden's 03? I would have never put him up at that. I didn't realize he had a year that was that kind of silly to start his first, the beginning of a career.
I actually remember that. Yeah. Anquan Bolden, a beast. The reason why I remember that is a good friend of mine from back in the day, my friend Brad, who used to go by Texas on the internet. He's convinced that and rest in peace, he is convinced that he discovered Anquan Bolden.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's a good claim. By the way, Puka Nakua. I want to make sure I get the name right if I'm going to give him the love. Nakua is that kind of good. All right, the next one is for all you Texans fans. Get this stat after what? No, I'm sorry. We'll go the college one first. My bad. We'll finish with the Texans.
You got so many damn stats you can't keep up, Chad.
I do. I wanted to throw this one in because it reminds me of a game I don't want to think about, but I'll let you Longhorn fans smile. Baylor comes back and wins. 892 straight losses for teams that were trailing by 25 or more through 3 quarters. And look at that bottom. The last win was UCLA in 2017 against my Aggies. Y'all remember that game? Nick Starkel breaks his ankle or whatever it was. They led Josh Rosen and UCLA by like 1 million.
Is it a bad thing that I have forgotten? I don't remember that.
No, I'm glad you forgot it. I'm glad somebody forgot because I feel like I get reminded of it all the time. So there you go. Baylor does something that hadn't happened in 892 straight times. All right, see, now it feels like the Texans fans are going to think I'm trolling them because I swear I thought I sent it to Blake. But there's a really good stat about CJ Stroud and the early part of a career. I'll get it for you tomorrow, but just know this, Texans fans, that dude's really good if you haven't seen him play yet. And I got to see it up close and personal yesterday. And yes, the Steelers are a bad team overall right now, but Ketch, you can feel the energy in that building when he gets introduced. There it is. Yes, there it is. There it is. Thank you so much. Okay, check it out, Texans fans. Most passing yards in your first 4 career games. So we're just cranking up. But look who he's in there with. Newton and Luck. But look at that interception number.
I'm telling you, man, Stroud is a baller.
Yeah, Cam threw 5 to start. Luck threw 5 to start. He has not thrown a pick to get it started. It was fun to watch him yesterday, even though I'm rooting for the other team. I can be realistic enough to tell you when good is good. That place popped nice and loud for him, Ketch, when he got introduced, man. Love it when a fan base is getting around their quarterback, and obviously it can turn and get weird if you don't play well, but he's playing well. The leadership is there. Pierce looks good as a running back, and they don't have any one player that I consider to be just fall off your chair great, but there are times where they'll scheme it up and they'll get it going. It's like, you know what? This is a pretty decent football team here. So 2 straight wins. I've been asking, can they get to 5? It feels like they can get there now.
Oh, they'll get to 5.
I feel like they can get to 5 wins and then just sort of see where they are. They're technically tied for that division lead right now. Went and beat Jacksonville on the road and bad. Like whipped Jacksonville on the road. So you're not scared of them. Are you scared of the Colts? You shouldn't be, right? You've already beaten them once. Then you just pulled this off. And I say pulled it off. Steelers aren't great, but you beat them 30-6. Ketch, there wasn't a moment, a second from the game time that kicked off that I thought the Steelers could even kind of go win that game. I mean, Texans.
Man, it's a division with some great young quarterback play in it. I mean, forget about, Tannehill. Forget about him. But Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
CJ Stroud.
Lawrence Stroud. Richardson's back.
And Richardson in Indianapolis is all kinds of fun.
Yeah.
All kinds of fun.
Right. He came back this week. So if you're a Texans fan, you dig it. Like we said earlier, if you're a combination, I know we have people, I'm sure, that are Longhorn and Cowboy people, but if you're in the Houston area, you might be a Houston Aggie fan, like you're a Texans Aggies person, and all combinations got wins this weekend.
You just described that's like the worst lot in life.
What, if you're a Texans and Aggies fan?
God, kill me now.
I mean, I halfway agree with you, obviously.
If we hypnotized you, if we had you under and they swung a little medallion in front of your face and did the whole, you're getting sleepy, and we had you unconscious. And if the therapist said, Chad, do the Aggies add stress to your life? You'd be like, yes, doctor. And if you said, Chad, do they provide enough happiness in your life to justify the energy and what you put into it? God, no. You'd be crying under you'd be hypnotized and crying. I don't even know if I've ever seen that before.
I didn't even think I'd ever have to say this out loud, but please stop speaking for me under hypnosis. Would you please? Just please. Come on. I'd almost rather you speak for me awake than speak for me under hypnosis. What is that? The hell? Come on. Speaking for me when I'm knocked out in hypnosis.
Hey, I'm speaking you while you're under hypnosis to your face, though. It's not like I'm walking around going, hey, let me tell you about Chad under hypnosis.
I'm glad that's not the case. That'd be weird. That would be a weird thing.
If Chad were under hypnosis, this is what he'd be saying about all these things.
Oh,
you're right.
God.
That's fair. That's fair.
Fantastic.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. I'm just making sure we're clear because
you kind of wore me out with the crap bag today. That was a lot of information.
It really was. I understand. It was a big stat dump in the crap bag because I kept seeing something that was interesting to me. I'm like, whoa, the Hurts and there's CMC and the Cowboys.
It happens over the weekend. You get over inundated.
It really is. And I saw the Stroud thing and I thought I'm gonna be nice to Texans fan because I have Texans people in my life. I have friends and family members that are Texans people. I said congrats to the Texans people when we left yesterday early when it was 23-6 so we could get the hell out of there.
Hey, and Chad, just for full transparency, because that may have sounded like I was attacking Chad with the whole, this is how Chad would answer these questions under hypnosis.
Right.
For full transparency, if I was under hypnosis and what do we call the person?
Hypnotist?
Hypnotist. I was going to call him the hypnotic. If Mr. Hypnotic was like, Ketch, Cowboys on a scale of 1 to 10, how much good do they bring to your life? Like, I'd be under hypnosis. I would be crying, asking for negative numbers. Hey, Ketch, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, geez.
On a scale of 1 to 10. And then before he could even finish it under hypnosis, I'd be cursing James Harden out.
Yeah.
And then I've had like 1.5 good years with the Phillies.
Yeah.
So just because I was questioning your teams doesn't mean, you know what that is? I'm that guy that's great with advice. You know what you should do, Chad? You should leave your stripper girlfriend and, you should tell your needy parents to stay out of your life. And, and then I'm like, Ma, the meatloaf. Like, that's me. I'm Mr. I've got good advice, but I live at home in the basement and I have no life.
Yes. Well, that's all right. And by the way, just for those people that are not looking forward to tomorrow, Brandon is #Turnover Tuesday. He's ready.
Hey,
Brandon's ready.
You know who else is ready?
Who's that?
JD.
Hypnotic sounds like a fire marijuana strain. Yes, it does.
You know what Hypnotic was?
That drink, right?
It was my blue drink back in the day.
Yeah, the blue mixer. You could do it by itself or you could mix it with stuff.
I never mixed it with anything. I just drank it straight from the bottle.
Just straight Hypnotic. I remember that.
So then I got to be known as Blue Drink Guy because for about 30 minutes, Hypnotic was my favorite drink.
Yes. I remember. In fact, I recall that story because you're the only reason I knew what Hypnotic was. I hadn't even heard of it until I met you.
Me and Sean Adams would drink some Hypnotic back in the day.
Very nice.
Floating around the Lake Travis with a bottle in our hands.
Did it make you say honest things about the Cowboys? Was it that powerful? Did the blue drink work?
I mean, the blue drink worked.
Yeah. Because if you need it, Jerry has another blue drink that he thinks works really well. It costs a lot more. It's a Johnny Walker product.
I used to stay away from Cowboys discussion when using Hypnotic.
Yeah.
It made the whole experience better.
Yeah, no one should drink heavy amounts of liquor and then talk about the Cowboys.
Hey, Blake, just for the fine people out there, as we segue onto something else, find a picture of the old Hypnotic drink. Because we got people who are what?
What, they don't know about Hypnotic?
Yeah, I don't think Hypnotic's a thing anymore.
Oh, it's not
By
out
the way,
there.
what's happening in the chat?
Sandman, Ketch is Cartman from South Park, just grown up. Wow.
Hey, man, what's up with that? Fuck you, ATX, Big Rich. Talk about me. Sorry. That was my Cartman.
Oh, my God.
That was my adult version of Cartman.
That was the adult Cartman? That was it?
That was it. That's all I got. There it is.
There's Hypnotic.
That used to be my beverage.
There's Hypnotic. There it is. Yeah. I remember Hypnotic.
You know when that was my beverage? 2005.
Right.
When last time the Longhorns won a national championship, this is what I was drinking at the clubs.
This is what we'll toast with if they win it this year. We'll toast with Hypnotic.
Sandman wants to know if you can do an impersonation, a Cartman impersonation from South Park.
I can do a Cartman impersonation from South Park if you would like to hear that. Let's see. What's the trying to think of the best. What do we do with Cartman? Let's see. Well, the problem because Mom is, that she's a bitch. So that's the problem is that she is. She's a bitch. Is that all right? Cartman. I can do a decent Cartman.
Oh, God.
I can play Cartman a little bit.
The horrible thing about that is I realized how bad my Cartman impersonation was after hearing your Cartman. Like you just showed. I got called Cartman. I was
going to stay away because I was going to let your Cartman sit by itself and be what it was. And then Sandman asked. So it's my pot pie kitty. And so I thought, we'll just go ahead. So I'm sorry.
Tom G in the super chat. Sankey will be at the Red River Shootout. Is that a big FU to the Big 12 and its commish or what? Very boss move on his part.
I wouldn't say boss move. I just would say he knows how to read a college football schedule.
Yeah. Same thing about the Big 12 commissioner is going to be there. And I mean, the who's who of college football will be in Dallas this week. So it stands to reason that if you want to be around the who's who in college football, be where the discussion is taking place, you'd be in Dallas this weekend.
The other thing, Ketch, is my guess will be he will not finish that game. Well, he may finish it, but he's also going to make his way to College Station. I would assume he's going to find a way to get to A&M and Bama. His other choice would have been LSU at Missouri. Kentucky goes to Georgia. He's got plenty of chances to go to Athens. And he does have Arkansas Ole Miss in the evening if he really wanted to make it a busy day. But I'm guessing he's going to hit both stops in the state of Texas. He's got Texas, Oklahoma coming into the conference, and he's got A&M playing Bama right up the road. There's no way he doesn't hit both. I'd be shocked if we don't see Sankey at both those games. Is that a fair read of the day?
Yes.
That's what you'd do if you were Greg Sankey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, start off. Maybe if it was me, I'd want to finish the game. I'd want to finish and then get me on like a private plane, and we'll get to A&M Bama before it finishes. That's what I'd do. Big day in the state of Texas.
I don't think this is true.
Jeff was drinking Hypnotic at XTC back in 2005.
Ecstasy.
Oh, Ecstasy. That's a club.
That is the Jiggly Room. One of the Jiggly Rooms back in the day.
Yes. Okay, I got you.
I don't know if it still exists.
Gotcha.
That was not my Jiggly Room of choice.
I see. Yes. Oh, I've never been to such places. I just read articles. Tracy, thank you for the chat today. We appreciate it. As we roll through the 2:00 hour here, there's all kinds of stuff from the weekend. We've mentioned, I think, all the key ingredients. Obviously, we talked Texas, getting ready for Oklahoma. We have talked about the Cowboys handing Bill Belichick his worst loss ever as a head coach.
If you missed anything at all from Steve Sarkeesian's press conference earlier today, he's not benching Bert Auburn. Would you?
Well, I mean, first off, I thought that was a bit of a silly question to go into. Like, what's the option? What's his option?
Probably Will Stone, the other scholarship kicker.
I mean, I think Auburn has shown you enough that you would stick with him. And if we believe what Sark said today, there are other elements to it. He's claiming that there have been not perfect snaps along the way, that there's been not perfect holds along the way, and Auburn's been bad along the way. So, but I think he's shown you enough. You stick with him. What about you? Was that even needed? I just didn't think the question was needed.
No, and this isn't the week to do that.
Yeah.
And
true.
Oh, by the way, Dabo tried to get cute with the kicking position the week of the biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
How'd that fairy tale turn out? Midnight struck before it struck midnight before midnight, and that kicker's probably just wishes he'd never done that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, so there was no big, just the right amount of boring there. You don't want to give any bulletin board material to Oklahoma. And I'm
Sanders
interested
and Watts are day to day, although
Yep.
I have a source that told me yesterday that Sanders might be more doubtful than questionable. So be mentally prepared for limitations maybe at best on Saturday from your All-America tight end.
Yeah, I would assume to me, you got to plan for it to be very, very limited or not there at all. We do have a couple of super chats rolling in. Let's clean these off. Texas boy, 199 super chat. I took Bama -2.5, Texas -5, Kentucky +14.5.
Who's Kentucky playing?
Thoughts? That's the one I got to peek at. Oh, Georgia. They're at Georgia. +14.5.
They're at Georgia.
Correct.
I know why you did it, but I might go Georgia minus the points this week. Just given that there's a lot of Georgia doubt and Kentucky's coming off of a big win. You know, part of what makes Kentucky is that they're not consistently better than Kentucky, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't call them Kentucky. We'd call them Florida or something like that. Instead, They're Kentucky. I think I'm okay with everything other than I think I might go the other way in Georgia, Kentucky.
I definitely like Texas. The Bama pick makes sense because, Bama by 3 to a touchdown is kind of what would logically make sense to you. Aggies have been better at home. That's the key element that would make me lean towards the other side of that one. I'm not sure about that game right now, Ketch, honestly. There's flaws in both teams, but in the end, I got Nick Saban and a team that looks like they're finding themselves against Jimbo Fisher and that crowd. And that's a close game to me. I think that is a close battle, and I think that might even be closer than what we see in Dallas.
By the way, South end zone queen, I checked, no update yet from my source asking about Kobe Black. Just to let you know, I checked. No update as of yet.
Double checking. Another super chat, $5 coming in from Tom G. Okay, using our logic, Ketch, your mark won't be at the Red River game. Wow, he won't be able to avoid us in the Big 12 championship.
I think he'll be there. You think he's scared? I think he'll be there rubbing elbows and, I think he'll be oblivious to how the optics will look.
He needs to be real oblivious to go to that game. I would tell him not to go.
I think he'll be there.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see him on the sidelines of the game, but I think he'll be there. After
his act in Lubbock, I would not.
Yeah, but those guys are like politicians, man. They wake up on Mondays with zero self-awareness to what happened on Sunday.
That's fair. Yeah, no. You're right.
That was yesterday. Why are we still talking about this?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's probably true.
That was back in August, Chad. That was back in July. That was months ago. Why are we even bringing that up?
Yeah, this is a great chat, by the way. Here's why I think it could be close in College Station. Cotton nailed it. A&M's deficiencies are against the pass. Bama doesn't throw well. Be a hell of a game. Ketch, right now, as an Aggie fan, I am way more scared of getting the doors blown off in Oxford than I am this Saturday night or this Saturday afternoon. I think A&M and Bama will play a fairly close game. I think when the Aggies go to Oxford and Lane Kiffin starts chunking that ball around, I think that's when the Aggies could really get hurt.
I've got breaking news for you.
Breaking news.
South end zone queen. Are you paying attention?
Uh-oh, here we go.
I need to do the Robin Williams Good Morning Vietnam. You know, the wire copy noise. Can you do that? Do you know how to do that? It's not good. I think my wire copy noise might be better than yours, but your Cartman ages better.
It's a weird brag.
It's all I got today, Chad. That's all I got.
My is better than yours. Go ahead.
Just
a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's subjective too.
Yeah.
Because you asked, yes, JD, breaking news. South End Zone Queen asked anything from my number one source on Kobe Black. I asked, are you nervous about Kobe Black at all? At 2:02 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
He responded back seconds ago. Not yet.
Not yet nervous?
Not yet nervous.
Aha. There you go. South End Zone Queen.
And that's what I've been hearing is that, you know, I know that a lot of times look, this time last year, Cedric Baxter was taking weekly trips to Florida State. And it ended up just was kind of white noise, didn't matter. I think the Kobe Black thing is far enough down the road that some of these little things don't matter. I think the expectations within the Texas football program at this point are still that Texas will get Kobe Black. And per E.F. Hutton moments ago, no need at this point for nervousness to be a word associated with Kobe Black's recruitment. So there you go.
Right. There you go. Very not.
South End Zone Queen. When you're the queen of the show, you get access to the bat phone.
Yeah. By the way, our producer Blake is letting us know there is information out there that your Mark is not attending Texas OU, nor should he. I don't know why he would. I'm glad to hear that he's not. And the fact that Sankey is going is perfect. That is exactly where it needs to be.
I think he'll be there, but he'll have a mustache and he'll be calling himself like Stanky.
He's going to go Bobby Valentine on it? Oh, that'd be great if he went with the Now, I'll gain some respect back if he goes Bobby Valentine disguise and he's walking around the fair, like throwing darts and trying to throw the little ring over the bottle and
with a good Bobby Valentine mustache.
Oh, that would be great. By the way, to Sandman, a little SEC education for you a year in advance. You're not looking at this right. When you say they stormed the field for beating the number 13 ranked team, LOL. No. They didn't storm the field for beating the number 13 team. They stormed the field for beating LSU. The ranking is immaterial. This is Ole Miss beating LSU. They hate LSU. Something powerful. So just understand that. That's why they rushed that field. LSU could have been ranked not at all, 225. It didn't matter. They just love beating LSU. Period.
Hey, let's do this real quick. Blake, let's remind everybody over the space of 15 seconds why Specs is the best place on the planet.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Chad, my kids still think, and I got to send our Specs contact. Remind me when the show is over.
Yes.
Email the Specs guy about the Specs costume for Halloween because I will wear that rabbit costume on Halloween. I don't care.
Yeah,
Why? Because Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, they've been a Texas family-owned, not just destination, an institution, if you will.
Yes, and we also can you also ask the question as you're doing that, can you ask about the Queen of Specs and if we can get her on the show?
I will do that.
Yeah.
And I'll just let everybody know if you're trying to get ready for Texas OU for Saturday and you're like, oh God, the last thing I want to do on Saturday is get up, get in the car, drive over to Specs, and then everybody's trying to get the pre-Texas OU rush. That's why you go to specsonline.com. Let them freshen up all of your happy hour needs or Texas OU needs with same-day delivery. But you got to go to specsonline.com. The fun starts there.
So, Ketch, real quick, just as a promotional thing, this is a week where the record for a Texas player against Oklahoma will matter. It's like that's part of the resume thing that comes up. So tonight on the Outsiders, on the Monday Outsiders show, we will have a guest, and he was 3-1 against Oklahoma. Aaron Humphrey will join us tonight on the Outsiders. He was there during that mid to late 90s portion when he would have been a part of the overtime loss, and then he went 3 in a row. 97, 98.
I was standing in the end zone for the overtime loss. That sucked.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah. Because that's back in my TV days. And when you're credentialed in television, they don't make you sit in the press box. You need to stand on the field.
Yeah, no, it's good
That
stuff.
was in the glory days of me covering Texas football professionally. I'd go later this week, I'll tell everybody about I've been in the tunnel for Texas OU. Like I've done the tunnel experience coming out, honestly, with both teams. I've experienced what it's like going out with both teams, having covered this game. It is, I mean, you can take my word for it, or tonight, Aaron Humphrey, Chance Mock.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. This seems unfair.
What's that?
Aaron Humphrey's 3-1.
Aaron Humphrey 3-1.
And then the year after he left, Texas lost 5 straight. And our boy
3, 4, yeah,
had to endure all of it.
Wow.
I want to come on the Outsiders this week because I have a Chance Mock question.
Okay.
In 2003, Chance starts the Cotton Bowl. All right. Let me give you this story.
All right.
So we go have lunch that week. It's me, Chance, and Arthur Bryant, Cleve Bryant's son.
Okay.
We went to Joe's Crab Shack. I think that's where we went off of, it used to be Joe's Crab Shack off of like Mopac and Breaker. Do you remember that? Maybe it was one of those seafood places like that.
Mopac and Break. That sounds about right, I think.
Now
right.
I think it's something else.
Yeah.
But it's what it was back in the day. And so we were hanging out for lunch. And because Arthur was there, Chance couldn't really say too many top secret stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So afterwards, Chance and I are walking out, and I'm walking Chance to his truck. This is just a couple of days. It's like the Thursday maybe before the game. And I'm like, all right, Chance. So what's the game plan for Saturday? Like, what is it that you guys are trying to do? You gonna go 5 wides? What are you going to do? Honest to God. Now, Chance could have just been telling me this because I was a media guy and he was a starting quarterback, and some things maybe you can't say. It's why I want to ask him on the Outsiders. Because I asked him on the eve of the 2003 game what the game plan was. And he told me that he didn't know. And that it was peculiar because it was the first time that he'd ever been in the locker room as a Texas player, as a quarterback on the offensive side of the ball, where he wasn't clear what the game plan was.
Wow.
Then they go into the game, and Chance makes one mistake. He was a top 10 rated quarterback in the country. He throws an interception that Derek Strait picks off.
Mm-hmm.
And they pulled him from the game and put Vince Young in. And all I want to ask Chance is, all these years later, right? We're in safe spaces now. That was 2 decades ago. Was there really not a game plan going into that game?
Oh. That's a horrifying thought.
Because that's what he said 2 days before as soon as he made the first mistake, they pulled him, they put Vince Young in, and the game plan seemed to be, Vince, run around like a chicken with your head cut off.
And I don't have the full list in front of me. Wasn't 03 one of the really bad numbers?
Yeah.
That was was that 65-13?
14.
Okay. Like there was a 63-14 and a 65-13.
Yeah, it was
2000,
one of those.
2000 was one of them, and I think that may have been the other one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and then
so this is what you want to bring up on the Outsiders with Chance Mock this week. This is where you want to go, huh?
Look, I'll tell the story about how I almost got arrested after that game.
Okay. You think
Have you ever heard that story?
Oh, I've heard that story. Yeah. You think that'll make sense? I
tried to defend the honor of an elderly couple. It's true. That's what happened.
No, I know it's a good story. I'm laughing because I've heard the story. It's a good story.
And then a bunch of OU fans didn't appreciate that I was defending the honor of elderly people. And then all hell almost broke loose. And a Dallas police officer had to escort me out of the fairgrounds. And when I hit him with this isn't fair, I didn't do anything excuse.
Yeah.
He hit me with, and to be fair, he's a police officer, and sometimes these things happen. He hit me
with a baton? No.
He did not hit me with a baton, thankfully.
Okay.
He hit me with but there's just one of you and 25 of them, and it's easier for me to just escort you out of here.
That's good math. That's good police math is what that is.
And the reason why I almost went to jail, because there was an OU fan who he thought he could mumble something under his breath. And he tried to hit me with you fat mother.
Uh-huh.
And I stopped myself in mid-swing. It was one of those where my hand is about 6 inches from his face. And I was like, you are so lucky that I'm sober.
I'm telling you, man, I've never said it this way before. After 25 years of radio and now almost, well, by the way, happy 2 months. Today is 2 months of this. 2 months of House Divided. Texas OU is my favorite zoo on the planet. It really is.
Such a zoo.
It's my favorite zoo on the planet because it's like if you take two animals at the zoo that have rep, credit, resume, they're impressive, whatever, but they live on two different sides of the zoo. And then once a year, you just open the gate between the two and they get to hang out with each other and you get to watch them go crazy. That's what Texas OU is, man. Two fan bases that on their own act a certain way. But when you put them around each other, it is.
But can we
they
be
are the
honest?
chemicals. They are the chemicals in the chemistry class where they say, don't mix those two chemicals because you never know what's going to happen. That's Texas OU every year.
There's a trash element of Oklahoma that has to be discussed, though.
Oh, well, sure.
I mean, whoo, boy, these people.
Right, but it's classy trash. It's got a classiness.
It's not.
There's
but
a layer of classiness on top of it just because of the
classy trash.
Just
what
because of the history
is successful trash.
Okay, successful. That's a good way. You use that word because of the history, because of the brand, because of all that. They get to kind of carry it like they are badass, like they are classy, even though they might not be. And then you got Texas bringing their stuff in, who are never, Texas fans are never put off by many fan bases, by really any fan bases consistently. But this one gets them off their game like that.
I'll never forget in the 02 game. So the year before that, I was doing this promotion on Orangebloods. You want to talk about disasters?
Mm-hmm.
This travel company or whatever did this promotion where they, they were responsible for the travel to and from the hotel so that you could drink and have a good time. Well, the bus specifically for Texas fans broke down. So they sent the OU bus to pick up the Texas people. And so we had to sit on the bus while they played highlights of the 2001 game in the bus.
This is before the game.
I almost got in. So I'm sitting on the bus. And there's like this teenage kid, good-looking kid, but he's wearing a wagon on his head. Right. And I just felt like, man, this kid doesn't have an older brother who needs to let him know. So I'm going to do it.
Oh, God.
And I was like, hey, little man, if you wear a wagon on your head in public, you ain't ever getting laid. Ever. And I was like, you're too old. I go, look, man, you're too old for that now.
Come on.
You're a teenager. You walking around with a goddamn wagon on your head. That ain't gonna work with chicks, man. And you know what? Kid took the wagon off his head.
Really?
But his dad looked at me like, how dare you tell my kid that he's too old to wear a wagon on his head?
You said
and
that.
I looked at Dad like, I'm sorry you're a terrible father and let your kid come out of the house today with a goddamn wagon on his head. There's got to be standards. Look, man, only 300-pound dudes over the age of 60 and little boys under the age of 10 are allowed to wear wagons on their head. And if you see anybody between those two demos walking around with a wagon on their head, it's your duty as a human being to help that. If you saw a special needs person at an intersection and they were having a hard time, you help them.
Mm-hmm.
If you find a Sooner fan with a wagon on their head and they're like 13 years old, I think it's inhumane to be like, well, that's not my job. That's their parents' job. No, it's your job as a human being, as a member of the human race, to turn around and talk to that human and let them know you ain't ever getting any play with a wagon on top of your head. Ever. That is not how it works. I have never in my life been anywhere where there's been a fine woman and she's walking around with somebody with something on their head. Doesn't happen.
You're telling, just for the sake of argument, you're telling me there's not one attractive woman walking with a man who's got a cheese head on at a Packers game.
He better be a millionaire or he better be packing, literally. That's it.
That
Those
was
are the
well
only
done.
two ways.
That was good.
Those are the only two ways. And you know, look, no, man. The thing is, the dudes that wear the cheese heads, they're already married. And they're never getting sex again.
Oh, I see.
The only way you get play, you can't wear, I know that, look, maybe it's different in Wisconsin. Maybe you can get away with some cheese.
Uh-huh.
In Dallas, Texas, and Chad, in Dallas, with the women of Dallas, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Not Austin, not Houston, not the Hatch, Dallas.
Yeah. You can get a little play in the hat.
In Dallas that's given up any action to a man with a wagon on his head. You know why? Because they're thinking to themselves, well, I can just find another person with money who doesn't have a wagon on their head.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, depending on where you're walking in Waxahachie, the wagon may not, the wagon might play, but not in Dallas. Ketch is right about the Dallas part. They don't.
And you know what? I guarantee, you know what? That kid today is like 33 years old. And somewhere he remembers me.
He has your voice
like,
in his head.
When he was 12, he was like, I can't believe that you guys said that I should wear the wagon.
He's 33. He went on a site and he's found this woman and he's about to go out on the date and he's in front of the mirror and he's looking good. Yeah, I like the shirt and everything. And he reaches for the wagon and he gets it and he says, now I just need wait a minute. And he hears the voice in his head.
Hey, you can go to any of these adult sites. You can go on Tinder. You can go on like the Christian dating sites.
Mm-hmm.
You can go anywhere where men and women try to meet each other.
Wagonhat.com. No, that doesn't happen.
I'm going to just tell you right now, ain't no dude on Tinder ever been swiped in the right direction if he got a wagon on his head.
You wouldn't put it as your picture.
And I'm going to put it to you like this. If I was on Tinder, is Tinder still a thing, by the way? I'm so married How the hell would I know, right?
I don't know. My entire dating history is definitely not very technological, so I don't know.
Guys, let us know. Is Tinder still a thing? It feels like that was like 5 years ago.
Yes, I definitely never used an app. I did not use an app to date ever.
Chad, Colby says you were using Feet Finder.
Feet Finder. There you go.
It's
It's actually called Soul Provider. So how dare you? Go ahead.
I'm just telling you, people don't wear wagons on their head when they put those, like, their best pictures. When dudes are trying to hook up with chicks on social media or whatever, if Taylor Swift goes into her DMs, she's dating Travis Kelce.
That must be a wild place, by the way. Taylor
She
Swift
goes into her DMs and somebody's like, "Hello, Taylor. I just thought maybe a girl like you and a guy like me might enjoy each other's company."
Boomer.
Boomer.
Just to see if she'll bite.
With a wagon on his head. Good luck with that. Okay, I'm good.
Oh my God. Okay. I think that sets the stage for Texas OU week better than anything else could have. All right. So let's go. If we do them quick, let's clear off a couple super chats. Maybe $2. Well, where'd it go? Who've you got? Oh, nice job, Cotton. Nice job. Well done. Okay. Super chat, $2 from Tracy. Over under 10 that Jeff has thrown hands, I guess, at Texas OU. Hashtag popcorn ready.
I mean, that's the only time at Texas OU I ever almost got into a fight.
Okay. But it has happened. All right.
No, I didn't get into a fight.
Oh, you didn't?
I got into like a yelling match.
Okay. So not thrown hands. So that's an under. That's the
under. I never got into a fight at Texas OU. Okay.
Take the under on
Last
that.
time I got into a fight, man, I would have probably been in my early 20s back in my street basketball days.
Okay. So it's been a long time.
Man, I used to foul people really hard. Yeah. People get all up in their feelings at the park when you foul someone hard.
Because you were a Charles Barkley guy. You're going to foul them hard. You're going to make them feel it.
More like Rick Mahorn, but thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for giving me Hall of Fame vibes with non-Hall of Fame game.
We'll finish off with somebody who's headed to Dallas. Blake, $10 super chat. I just booked the flights, got the tickets. Will be at the game Saturday. Flying in from Memphis. It'll be my second Red River game. What is the best steak? Saturday night. Man, I don't eat enough steak in Dallas total to give you the suggestions, but do a search. Dallas has plenty of great steaks. There's plenty of good steaks there for you, Blake. Safe travels and enjoy the game. We hope you see a Longhorn victory in chapter 119. All right, Ketch, anything else we need to do? You ready to close it up?
Yes, I'm sorry. I got someone just hit me with a message. I got distracted.
We good?
Retriever time.
We're ready? Ready to go?
Yeah.
You good?
I'm
okay.
Good.
All right, so coming up, 3:30, it's Football with Friends with Alex Dunlap. As I mentioned tonight on the Outsiders, we will talk to Aaron Humphrey, a man who did go 3-1 against OU. That means we can ask him about a weird tie game and the fake playbook game with Mike Leach in 1999. He was involved.
Hold on, breaking news.
In those. Yes, breaking news. Have you heard? Have you heard the news? 199 Stanley. OU sucks. There you have it. That is maybe the best part of this week as we get ready for Texas and Oklahoma. All right, there you go. We'll be back tomorrow for a Tuesday show. Thank you for the chats, the super chats. Shout out to Specs for helping out with the chats. By the way, new sponsor I'm going to tell you about tomorrow that I'm very excited about. We'll do that during a Tuesday show. Thanks to Blake, the super producer, for all his great work today. And until 12 noon tomorrow, it is 2:59. And OU still